Hello and welcome to the Josh and Tyler Show. I'm here with Tyler as always, and I am Josh. Today, it's been a little while, but we're going to jump right back into it. We're going to do our summer movie preview season, talk about every movie coming out this entire summer. The good, the bad, the ones we've never heard of, the movies that we simply could care less about, or the trailers that drove us bananas. Like that phrase, not my monkeys. Whatever that stupid Polish phrase is on TikTok, I can't escape, and the small childish children. But today, how are you, Tyler? It's a thing. I've been really annoyed. Everyone's like, not my monkey, not my circus. I'm like, don't use a stupid ass kid voice. We get it. There are kids.
This is a very personal.
Welcome to the Josh and Tyler Show.
A cookbook title that can also be a film title.
Scenes where there is absolutely no sound but all image.
Somebody dressed like a Viking playing weird, strange music.
America's Got Talent if it had no talent.
Pear flavored yogurt. Tastes like pear flavored yogurt.
Say something awesome.
The bitch is back.
It's some stupid
The
Polish
screen
face.
is not frozen. The screen is not frozen, folks. I just am really glad that I'm not on TikTok.
No. See, there is it's like a World War II Polish phrase, like keep calm and carry on, that everyone's super obsessed with right now. They're just like, you know what? I'm living in the present. I'm super into everything that's happening. I'm a bi cisgender, whatever. And I'm going to use this phrase from the 1920s that probably doesn't affect my current status. So that's where we are at in society.
I just like to mention my grandpa is Polish and came here after World War II. And gotta say, I'm hearing that for the first time. So
yeah, you got that really interesting family literature there a while back. So
yeah, my for the Christmas season, my grandpa gave basically everyone in my family, as well as to extended members who are just becoming part of the family, a very abbreviated memoir of his life from Poland to when he immigrated to Canada, and some certain events that I kind of knew about that my dad told me, but were expressed in a little bit more detail and sound much more exciting than I remember them to be. But
has he ever used the phrase "not my business, not my monkeys" or whatever the fuck these people are saying now?
If that's a real phrase, he hasn't told me.
Well,
So-
thank goodness it's not a real phrase then, because it's stupid. Anyway,
Yeah.
You see any great movies lately? We haven't caught up in a while, and I want to say, what movies have you seen lately?
Well, that is an excellent question, because lately I've had, with the amount of ridiculous long hours I've had at work lately, it is incredibly hard just to sit down and watch something on your own. But there were a couple that I've been able to squeeze in. The fact that I've been able to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness twice in a row, I'm blown away that I have. I feel a little disappointed in myself, to be honest, for not doing it a third time on Victoria Day. But for whatever reason, I felt like I needed a break.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen it yet, so I would totally go
Really?
with you if you. I've been working, like, you know what I've been doing? I've been at
okay.
work.
That's fair,
Um,
but
Yeah.
whatever fantasies you have about Sam Raimi doing an MCU movie, the majority of them do come true. I absolutely love the fact that he actually gets to bring his own visual style into it. If you've seen my review, and you can catch my review in the description below, there are so many Sam Raimi trademarks that they managed to shove in, like the amount of Dutch angles that they throw in, the fucking POV shots of ghosts or monsters or Scarlet Witch chasing the characters or getting up in their faces, the cheesy one-liners followed by a really badass moment. Like Rachel McAdams has a Bruce Campbell moment at one point where she's about to burn these demons and she says, "Go back to hell." And I just sat there, I'm like, that is pure Raimi.
Well, I mean,
And not to mention, like MCU movie wise, this might be the most violent. Like it's nothing
the most
compared
violent. Okay.
It's
okay.
not a Marvel Netflix show where things actually do get gnarly, but there are some death sequences. In fact, the big sequence everyone talks about with the Illuminati characters from other movies, I won't say who they are, but they get fucked up real
I will
good.
have to put a spoiler warning before this.
No. I'm not gonna say who it is because you haven't seen the movie. I'm not gonna tell you.
I
which
have not
character.
seen the movie. I have a guess, but I will venture a guess another time.
One or two of them you can see coming a mile away. And not gonna lie, those cameos were not my favorite part of the movie. Part of that is some of those actors I just don't think fit. If that makes any sense. Like,
Well,
I can't see that one actor playing this particular character, and their acting felt cheesy even for Sam Raimi's standards, which is weird because this is technically like standard MCU level acting, and the acting was really good. Cumbernuts is becoming one of my new favorite MCU characters
Did you
as
call
Doctor
him
Strange.
Cumbernuts?
So, fun little fact, that is my family's nickname for Benedict Cumberbatch ever since my sister hooked my entire family on Sherlock, and my dad and I, one of our favorite shows is the miniseries Patrick Melrose with him, Hugo Weaving, Jennifer Jason Leigh. It is the phenomenal TV show.
See, I call him Cucumber Man. See, we got, no, like his name is it's not something I easily roll off the tongue. Regardless of what I think he's good in Doctor Strange. I think he can fuck off and leave Sherlock alone because it's about a man who gets high in a room and doesn't have supervisions like a robot, and it's not a super fighting thing like Robert Downey Jr. portrayed it to be. It is an intellectual high man. That is what it is. I don't like the portrayal. I've read all the books. I own most of them. I really appreciate the Basil Rathbone portrayal. I've spoken about the Hounds of the Baskervilles. It's a very intellectual property, and it is not that anymore. And that's but speaking of non-intellectual properties, Tyler, we enjoyed Jackass 4 in theaters, Jackass Forever. I watched 4.5 last night. Oh my goodness, have you seen this?
Oh yeah, I just finished it when I was about to get on the bus to work, and oh my god, this is the only Jackass 0.5 movie that's actually as funny as the one it's ripping off. Because the problem I had with 2.5 and 3.5 is that a lot of the stunts you could kind of tell why they didn't make it into the movie. They had good impact, but they were either too gross to really laugh at these guys at their most painful, because when you look at Jackass Forever, which they get pounded to death half the time, you still feel like they can take it, and that's why you laugh at them for it.
Yeah, there were certain points. There were certain points in this film where I was like, please don't make me watch this.
There was some stuff in 4.5 I didn't like.
There are more genitals than the actual movie itself, and that's saying something. I think that's the most genitals I've seen in a movie, and then it just doubled that. And like, I think Lacey's bruises that they kept. Oh my goodness, that was.
I felt. See, in our review, you talked about how he really didn't do that much other than stand in the background. Now it kind of it explains why.
It makes a lot of sense, because I mean, I've seen Lacey in the previous entries a lot more, which I have now watched every Jackass movie. I haven't watched the 0.5s of all the other ones, but I watched the first one, and my wife is just sitting there and she's just like,
why?
Exactly.
Which, yeah, the fact that you and I like it now, that's really saying something. But
I mean, I was so happy just to be back at the theater, and the audience was into it. And like, these dudes didn't seem to mind the pain. So like, I was super into that. But 4.5 is a lot. I mean, I felt like they did at certain points, like they talked a little, like they did a little more Eric Andre, which I liked, with the tennis clown thing, which was interesting.
That was my favorite part. I absolutely loved it.
And like, I like how they did more exploding porta potties, because I thought that was just the most hilarious thing. Even like the fifth time around, and like, I liked Eric Andre speaking. He's like, I was afraid. And Eric Andre,
it was really good to see him out of character.
Yeah, he was. And then I've actually been watching the Tyler the Creator show, Loiter Squad, and that was where Casper came from, and that's a really funny show. Like, there's some stuff in there. Like, if you haven't seen Loiter Squad, it's sort of the most ridiculous thing on the planet. Like, and I saw Tyler the Creator the one bit I think I liked here. Tyler the Creator had like a 1 millisecond cameo where they show Casper's dad on the plane, and then he goes skydiving, and they pretend the engine is smoking, and oh my goodness, That dude must have been terrified. And he was. He's
Oh.
like, I've taken 9 bullets. I will do it again. Am I dead? Like, oh my goodness. But there was some good stuff in there. I enjoyed this 4.5. I watched some less than reputable titles, and I really haven't seen any new movies lately. I went and saw The Lost City of My Wife. It was okay. It serves an audience, whatever. It's fine. The jokes, you can see them coming a mile away, right?
Yeah.
That was, and then I sat down and I thought, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad, Josh. Senior year is crap.
Why did you even bother?
I was half asleep on the couch at like 8 a.m. I had dropped off my wife to work, and I'm like, I just want something in the background. What a stupid movie. This movie brings nothing. I thought, I like a good dumb comedy, so I will check out these movies that people don't like, and maybe I will appreciate them. And sometimes these Netflix movies have charm, This is not one of them. This is a movie about Rebel Wilson with weird plastic surgery, pretending she's in high school, and they have rivalries with someone because high school still matters when you're 40, and then they all do a stupid choreographed dance sequence after seeing a whole bunch of politically correct stereotypes.
So typical Netflix fare.
Yeah.
Or what was typical Netflix fanfare. Now they've finally told their employees, hey, we make some stuff that you may not politically agree with. I don't know how you're just finding out, but if you don't like it, if you don't want to work on it, maybe fuck off.
This is where I'm at. If we want to properly represent people, maybe we shouldn't make them the exact stereotype of what they are and make them occur naturally in nature and make them real characters and real people. Because 90%, and I also watched the other one, I thought this one could be interesting. There's someone in your house. There's a killer in the house. It's not good. It's even more stereotypical than the other one. Everyone is like, I have a secret. I'm going to die because there's a killer killing people in town. Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. Which movie is this?
There's someone in your house. So
that's the title.
Yes. So this movie had like a house, and like basically this killer's going around enacting justice because people are doing horrible things. And our first kill is like this dude. And this is an SJW movie. I'm going to say this. This dude beat up some guy on the football team because he was gay. So this mass killer goes to his house and murders him. And then the next one, this guy, like, once this person made a racist podcast, so they get hung in a church, stuff like that. But the third person, like, accidentally tipped over a candle. And so, they're a bad person because they went to jail, and like, they start just like so they have a giant secrets party where they're all like, hey, did I tell you my secret? And then, the killer turns out to be the person who I thought it was, with no discretion. It was like, oh, it's that person. They literally labeled him a psychopath at the beginning of the film. But no, there's one kill in the middle where they're trying to kill this person. The person's like, you burnt down a house once. It was an accident. This killer didn't even bother to do their research. They know everyone's secrets, but they don't know how to research. It was an accident. It's mind-blowing. Like, if you're, I get
okay.
Bullying, killing. If you do put a racist podcast out, you beat up someone, I understand. I get it. They've done something horribly wrong. You're an SJW. I get it. But this person accidentally tipped over a candle when they were 4. And now, they're going to burn for the sins of a small child. Like, I don't
When
get
she
it.
was 4?
Yeah, she's like 4 or 5. And at this point, the movie just became hilarious. So the big finale is like, there's a corn maze. Oh no, a corn maze. You know what can be set on fire? Corn. So they're like, and the guy's like, and they do this, and like there's I don't know if you've seen the movie Chopping Mall, but it's about killer robots in a mall, and it's really dumb, and it's a Roger Corman feature. Absolutely adore the film. And so they get there and they're like, these are these security robots, and the one guy's like, what if they decide to kill us? And they're like, that will never happen. And the guy, so in the movie, they're like, we've hired security. What if the killer comes? We've got security. That will never happen. I don't know what Netflix is doing and what audience they're appealing to and why I keep watching them. That's my next question. But yeah, they're bad.
Based on that memo they put out, I think they're still figuring that part out for themselves.
Like, I don't know if they're trying to hit a teen audience, but I feel like if you were a teen, feel like you're talked down to, like you're stupid, like they don't understand who you are and they're making characters that aren't you. Like, I get like Stranger Things has an audience, and there's like Russian Doll season 2 I have yet to check out, but there are some unique shows that are very, very good on Netflix. And there are some, but I mean, with their recent, with like Too Hot to Handle and The Circle in like 12 different countries, and like their continued efforts to play Riverdale, even though that show jumped the shark and is crap and the creator can't make his own comic adapted faithfully. Like, they're becoming, I can't tell if Netflix is a soap opera or a dying streaming service. Crave is so much better. Like, at least the movies are competent on there. At least they know when it's a bad movie. Like, you could just tell by the cover. Netflix just changes the cover art every 2 months and says, it's a new movie. But they do have all of Monty Python, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, all the stuff they acquire are basically, with every streaming service, it's always the stuff they buy off of other studios that ends up being their best stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, when it comes to Disney, look at Disney Plus. What do people actually go to see on Disney Plus? They see the old classic movies that they grew up with, the more adult-oriented stuff on Star, the Discovery Channel, The Simpsons, this and that, or are they? I don't even know what the fuck is even like new on Disney Plus, other than the Marvel miniseries. That I got to be honest,
there's that new
are
one.
Not doing anything for.
There's one I want to check out: the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie. Okay,
Well,
okay, and here's why.
wanna-
Here's why. Akiva Schaffer of the Lonely Island of Rex.
Yeah.
And apparently they have Ugly Sonic, and it's like the most ridiculous
they
nose.
do.
It's like, it looks amazingly stupid.
That's kind of the thing for me. Like, I saw a 30-second promo for it, and I found out that David Tennant, who played Uncle Scrooge on my version of DuckTales, is actually in it for a few seconds. And I just sat there and went, okay, well, it's good that he's still Uncle Scrooge. I'll give him that. But then I heard that Chip and Dale's voices were not like being modified. It actually is John Mulaney and Andy Samberg's normal voices. And I just sat there and went, that is really, like, you couldn't even get that part right. And I know some people are going to say, well, no one wants to watch an hour and a half of high-pitched voices. That's bullshit. There's an entire Minions movie that made $1 billion. If people are that fucking
joke.
If people are that fucking stupid to go to a movie that is an hour and a half of you can like pitch their voices. I mean, at least in Alvin and the Chipmunks, they got actors who fit the parts and still pitched up their voices, like Reed from Criminal Minds as Simon. That makes perfect sense. Justin Long as Alvin. Justin Long is a complete dork, but he has a cool voice. That's what makes him good for the cool part. But they still pitched them up because that's how they sounded. Like, I know it sounds like a dumb thing to like be faithful to in terms of the cartoon, but like, and I've only seen like a few episodes of Rescue Rangers growing up. It just happened to be on every now and then, but I don't know. I just hate that they can't even be faithful to the cartoons in any aspect whatsoever. As far as I know, hell, they couldn't even.
I think it's set 10 years, like it's set after current day, and they're at
It
the
is,
convention, and they're
and
really
it's-
during the glory years, is what the description is understood.
And it's reestablished that the two of them are actually just actors on a show in that universe, which is an okay enough idea. I hate the way that they try to satirize 2D versus 3D animation, where there are characters having CGI surgery, which the concept of that sounds good, but if it was actually 2D animation and 3D animation combined, I'd be okay with that, but it clearly isn't. Chip is clearly just CG animation meant to look 2D, and I just sat there and went, yeah, that's a total cheat, guys. You don't... And it's also high and mighty coming from the fact that even though they're making fun of the way things have been CGI'd, they're still doing it because it's making a shitload of money for whatever reason.
I don't
Even after
know. I'm
everyone,
still gonna watch
even
it.
after everyone hated The Lion King, they're still remaking Snow White. They're still remaking Bambi, which that one in particular,
Wait,
I
they're
just
remaking
do not
Bambi?
understand. Yeah, they're giving it the Lion King treatment.
All right. Did you see that before we'll get to our main topic? But did you see that? I gotta send you this if you didn't see it, that deep fake video where they made it look like the cartoon. It looks so much better.
Of what the line? Oh, I've seen pictures of that.
Of
I
the
already
live
know
action
about
Lion
it.
King. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. They did but I was like,
It does look nice.
that looks interesting. That's what it looks like, the Lion King. But let's jump here. So this is gonna be our bookmark here. So we're gonna jump in to what's coming to theaters. What can you see at the movie? Maybe you made it out to Guelph and get to the Mustang there, drive-in, great little theater there. Saw Fast 7 with Ben there last summer, or Fast 9, or whatever one they're on.
It was
Maybe
9.
you went to your landmark at Cineplex, or maybe you came by and saw me at Princess Cinemas. Who knows? But yeah, we are looking. So May 27th, the official, people are calling Doctor Strange the official opening of the blockbuster summer, but I usually consider it right beginning of June. I consider it this weekend, which May 27th, when this will be up on the Friday. I consider that to be the blockbuster season. So our first movie, which you're seeing today, Tyler, Top Gun Maverick. I've seen this trailer so many damn times. I realize Tom Cruise has hair and flies an airplane. That's what I know, and I want to know nothing else.
Yeah, I love how even though we've seen these trailers over and over and over again, we don't actually know what the overall plot of it is. We don't know what the battle is, what enemies they're up against, how qualified these guys are. And that leaves a little bit of an element of surprise. The major sell of this trailer is the fact that they seem to have given more depth and layers to the character of Maverick, especially after the events that happened in the first film, and bringing in Miles Teller as his late partner's son, who now seems to have a grudge against Maverick for supposedly not protecting him. I'm curious how they're going to handle that element of the story, but it's also made clear in the trailers that he's not the only new cadet to focus on, seeing as how these characters, I don't know their names, but I already believe their camaraderie and rivalries, which is a really good sign to see. And it's major credit to the actors and Joe Kosinski as a director. But the reason we're all going to see it, and the reason that we should probably see it on the biggest IMAX screen possible, is for the flight sequences. They look insane. And the fact that the majority of them are actually real. I don't know how they got the actors that high in actual planes, which I don't believe the majority of them are trained pilots as opposed to just Tom Cruise.
Oh, Tom Cruise definitely flew his own plane. His contract was like, I need to fly
I don't doubt that.
my fucking plane or I ain't doing it. I'm going to do all the sequences. I want my own jet plane when I'm done. That's what I get paid. Like, that's probably his contract.
I don't doubt any of that in all seriousness, but the way the trailers show the flight sequences as if the pilots are riding a POV shot, it's almost as if you're on a roller coaster watching them loop-de-loop all in one take. These planes actually outmaneuver each other in these incredibly gorgeous real-life locations. I don't know how long it took to get every sequence right, but it looks like it's going to pay off, and it looks like it's going to pay tribute to Tony Scott in the best possible way.
Who's directing this one?
Joseph Kosinski. So he directed Tron 2 and Oblivion, which people thought were okay. And then he did the true life story Only the Brave, which was a fantastic movie. Josh Brolin, Miles Teller, Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Connelly. Two of them are in Maverick. So,
but it didn't Jodie Foster do a movie called Only the Brave?
No, that was...
Or was that the Brave one?
I don't think Jodie Foster ever did something called Brave, or at least not that I know.
No, I'm fair. What was that movie where she gets she's blind and she gets like or whatever. She gets attacked in the park, and so she's a sound recorder. So she basically uses all the sounds to track down through a podcast this person. It's like a 2001 movie.
I don't know that one.
I gotta look this up, but I'm looking forward to this. I really don't want to know too much, and that's okay. I just want to go in blind.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they reuse like the same moments in each trailer, it feels like they have a lot to hide, and that's a great thing with giving us the wow factor and the spectacle of it.
Okay,
all.
she did 2007. She played Erika Bain in The Brave One.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
I think I watched it because it was a really cheap Blu-ray at my local store, the bargain shop there.
That doesn't surprise
I
me.
think it was like $1 or $2. So the next movie coming out also this weekend. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm just neutral. Bob's Burgers, the movie.
Yep.
I've never been into the show myself. Like I get there's an audience for it, and I love H. John Benjamin because I think what he did with the first 4 seasons of Archer is brilliant. I just don't love the writing on this show, and for me, it's and I don't love the side characters, and it looks a little too much like The Simpsons for some of the animation.
It's definitely paying homage to The Simpsons, kind of in the same way Rick and Morty does, but Rick and Morty at least
Very
gives
different
itself
thing.
its own style.
Rick and Morty
Like-
is weird, and I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And Bob's Burgers is technically weird, but it's also weird in a deadpan way where everyone just deliberately sounds unnatural, and that doesn't always work for me. Like the kids don't sound like kids. The wife.
I think
Am I
the
going to get in
voice,
trouble for saying that she sounds like a man and not in a good way?
I think the voice acting is a lot of fun at points. I think the kids are a little over the top at times. I think the voice acting is very good. My problem's with the writing. I think the jokes are very dry. I think it's very dry I don't get certain modern comedies. Like if you're Canadian and you grew up in this country in the last 20 years, you have seen Corner Gas. I don't understand Corner Gas in the
I don't know
least.
anyone who likes Corner Gas.
I know
I'm kind of in the
so
minority.
many people like Corner Gas is like the driest, most
No.
something in the planet. It's
It's
boring.
not-
I don't get the jokes. Where are the jokes? I don't understand. And that's what I think Bob Burgers does for me. I don't get the writing.
I don't know how many episodes of Corner Gas you've seen, but I can't really call it dry in the slightest. Maybe sarcastic.
Like I know
But
it's supposed
I
to
can
be
do-
dry, witty humor. I've seen the series 3 times to try to understand it. I have watched every episode. I have watched the movie. I've watched the animated series. I really don't understand the appeal of this show, and that's sort of where Bob's Burgers comes into me. And when in the same thing with Corner Gas, I don't take anything away from the talent of the people in this movie, in the show of Corner Gas, and I don't take anything away from the talent of Bob's Burgers. I just don't get the writing. It just doesn't make me like. I think
That's
animated
valid.
shows
That's
have
valid.
become. There's so many of them. Like I would like to see a BoJack Horseman movie. I could care less about Bob's Burgers.
Dude, I'd pay to see an F is for Family movie, but even though there's really
That
no
show's
point
great.
in doing, even though there's no point in doing that, but
I think it's the Fox treatment. Like if anything, I'd rather see another Simpsons movie. I think like I feel like there's an audience more for that than Bob's Burgers at this point. I know people are like, I haven't watched season 4, or season 10, or season 12, or season 15, or whatever. Or season 20 is bringing it back, or you never can tell who's a fan anymore. But I think regardless of what era you're a fan of, you would go see The Simpsons on the big screen. And I think because they made the Simpsons movie, and that was sort of like some people were like, that's the end of the Simpsons. I don't know.
it was supposed. If it was, it would have been so much better. And quite frankly, that was the funniest The Simpsons had been in years when that movie came out, and ever since, if we're being honest.
I mean, the impact of Spider Pig on my childhood is insane. Like everyone knows Spider Pig, whether you've watched the Simpsons or not. Like I went back and I've watched the first 6 seasons, and I probably like the 4th and 3rd season the best overall. I think there's some really good stuff in there, some very clever writing, but again, nothing blowing my mind here. Yeah. So then I'm looking at the release calendar, and there's a very strange thing happening here, Tyler. According to IMDb, the movie Julia is getting a re-release this weekend.
When you say Julia,
the
you mean
documentary about Julia Child. Apparently it's being re-released, I guess. Very strange. If you haven't seen it, it's very charming if you grew up with it. But June 2nd, Crimes of the Future. Have you heard about this movie, Tyler?
I have heard about it. Part of being a member of the Toronto International Film Festival, or at least a membership enough to get emails on a regular regular basis, mostly over stupid shit that only the most diehard of fans would give a crap about. We're pointing out that David Cronenberg was coming back to do horror for the first time in God knows how long, with basically his Robert De Niro, now Viggo Mortensen. And I don't actually know what the concept of it is, and especially after seeing what his son could do with Possessor Uncut, I don't really want to know.
I think because I did watch a trailer because it's one movie that I was curious about. I think it has to do with genetic mutations and the ability of DNA to predict the future.
Really?
Yeah. So I think it's like a mix between Minority Report and The Fly is what the vibe I'm getting from the trailer. And that sounds weird enough that I have to see this. Like the poster is just like a cracked sort of organ with three faces meshed together. No explanation. Just that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But you got Viggo Mortensen. Always like Viggo Mortensen. History of Violence, one of my favorite films.
And also a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, and then you've got Léa Seydoux from the Bond franchise, as well as Blue is the Warmest Color. So really good performer, regardless of what you put her in. More normally understated. And then you've got Kristen Stewart, who's been doing really good stuff as of late too. So
yeah, that was.
I mean, if you haven't seen Personal Shopper, or I mean, even her performance in Spencer, whether you like the royalty or not, her performance was incredible.
For sure.
She is one of the best working actresses today that is super underrated. I mean, you know, give her 5 years, she'll have that Robert Pattinson acknowledgement.
I feel like she got acknowledged before he did with some of her more smaller indie stuff.
Yeah, but then to get it, you get acknowledged, then you get offered the bigger role, right?
Well, not to mention, like, she got the Oscar nomination for Spencer. I feel like she's being acknowledged. Maybe not by the public, but does the public really even matter at this point?
I mean, that depends. You want the public box office draw enough so that when your movie plays, someone's like, oh, like, I think there's not name recognition for actors anymore. Like, if it was the 80s, you're like, it's a Tom Cruise movie, we have to go. Or it's Gene Hackman, I love that guy. Or, oh, it's a Michelle Pfeiffer, she's my favorite, you know, like, but now it's like, you don't have to see every movie that someone is in. And that's where we end up at a certain point.
Well, I mean, I forget however many years ago, but Anthony Mackie was asked this one question about like the decline of quality in movies. And he was talking about how people mainly go to see like properties they're more familiar with, characters they're more familiar with, as opposed to actors. And for whatever reason, people were laughing about it in the audience when he was being interviewed that. And I really don't understand why.
It's true. I mean, people would rather sit and watch Marvel, and Marvel's fine. Nothing wrong with Marvel. It's just, it's not about the actors anymore. It's about, what franchise
nobody cares. Nobody cares who plays Sonic so long as Sonic looks like Sonic.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter that they got the original voice actress to play Tails, even though that actually is a great idea.
I mean, like, those games were a lot of fun. And if you can get the voice actors from any of those games, I mean, even the Xbox, like, those games, like, I get that, like, Sonic CD was the last great Sonic game. Thank you, Internet, you know. But, like, it got weird in those later years. But the voice acting wasn't bad. It was just Sega had no clue what to do with those properties. Like, Sonic had, like, a human girlfriend at one point. There was, like, a whole Tails spin-off game, and they just never finished them correctly, and they were glitchy. And like, if you played a Sonic game like post 2000 and 2001, I mean, like, even Sonic Blitz or whatever the new one was, not a good game.
I only played one Sonic game in my life, and weirdly enough, it actually was the OG.
Oh, I like Sonic 1, 2, and 3. I think they're good. I got the GameCube collection. It has the first 5 games. Probably my favorite being Sonic and Knuckles, because I think Knuckles was an interesting character, and the course design was very well done for that. So, yeah. Crimes of the Future looks really interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen that many Cronenberg movies, and there are one or two that I find a little overrated. Like, I was really looking forward to checking out The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken, because it's one of those performances where you don't look at him as this meme of an actor. You actually do see the character that he's playing, and that part was good. I just didn't find it that suspenseful for whatever reason.
Well, I'll give Christopher Walken 7 Psychopaths as well, where he's definitely blends well in an ensemble cast without being too meme worthy.
It also helps that like he's intentionally funny, so you kind of take away just what an
Mhm.
idiot he's making of himself, and that's kind of what I'm worried about with Dune, that he might turn into a meme because he has like big shoes to fill as like the leader of an entire universe and somehow more powerful than Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, so I did rewatch Dune, and I changed my mind on a few things again. So I do remember the first time I said it. I think we should have had the attack on the Sandcrawler, come sooner. I think that was perfectly paced. I think everything up to the tent scene was beautiful. I just, it felt like false endings. But I think it got better
No, I hear ya.
on the third viewing for that. I just think you ended at the tent and call it a day and mix in all the other things with like his dreams, and then you can do it in the next movie. Coming out the following weekend, June 3rd. June 3rd is a Saturday. We have a small movie called The Watcher. You've never heard of it, I'm guessing.
No, I have not, but do tell.
Serial killers in a city stalks Julie, a young actress who moved there with her boyfriend, and she notices a mysterious stranger from across the street. It stars Monica, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, Monroe, and Carl Gusman, and then Bern Gorman as the Watcher. Directed by Chloe Uoco. I'm butchering some names here. Who directed a short in 2014. So small movie, could be interesting, could be sort of like, I don't know if it's Canadian or not. I wonder who it is, but yeah.
Maybe.
The poster looks really interesting. Are you looking at the poster right now?
Yeah, like it's her in a red dress, and half
Yeah.
of her face is blurred out by her staring out a window, or the killer
Yeah.
potentially staring out the window.
Yeah, I think the poster looks interesting enough that I would check it out if a local theater is any. It's an IFC midnight, so I think someone will pick it up. Most likely us, because we play a lot of IFC midnights. It looks interesting enough. Like I don't even want to watch the trailer because with these thrillers, you want to just sort of go in blind.
Not to mention, I'm looking at the consensus and it says it lacks surprises, but it's more of Chloe Onuko's direction as well as Maika Monroe's performance. And I just sat there and
So it's
like, yeah,
Maika, okay.
don't watch the trailer. If there's no surprises, then you might as well go in blind and just hopefully expect that the craft and the execution on display is what really sells it. And so it turns out Chloe Okuno, I think I said it right this time.
Yeah, I'm not good with names.
Was one of the directors of the last VHS movie, VHS 94, which everyone said was like a huge return to form after the shitstorm that was VHS 3.
I mean, those found footage is interesting. Could be good. Also coming out that day, a movie called Dash Cam about friends who are live streaming from a dash cam in a car. I have no interest in this.
No. I already
think it's an interesting social experiment, but remember when Steven Soderbergh made that whole movie? What was that called?
I haven't seen Kimmy.
No, it was something else. But Steven Soderbergh made an entire thriller on a cell phone or something. And I think it's...
Was it Unsane?
Unsane is the movie, yeah.
I hated that.
I mean, I think it's interesting, but I don't know, like, in 20 years how well something like that holds up, because you're dating yourself with technology, and that's the problem.
Well, the cool thing about Unsane, the one cool thing about Unsane was that you couldn't tell it was filmed on a phone. My issue wasn't with the technical level. It was just the fact that we've seen this innocent girl blamed for something story a billion times already, and they did nothing new with it.
Yeah, again, I didn't watch it. It was one of those posters that looks, but I'm just like, I don't like shaky. And then, oh my goodness, Tyler, I want to know what you think of this. June 10th, the next entry in the Jurassic whatever franchise, Dominion. What are your thoughts on Jurassic things?
I want to know so bad who thought it was a good idea to let humans and dinosaurs roam together. because clearly it is not working out for them. And is from what I understand, that was the ending of Fallen Kingdom, that dinosaurs were just allowed to run
Okay,
free.
I
in
just want
society.
to quickly reiterate the end. I just want to talk about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So we get your typical fare on an island, the volcano's exploding, people are kidnapping dinosaurs and DNA. Well, Chris Pratt is trying to save them because fucking PETA. I get it. They have to save animals because reasons. But that part's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that part. But then they get off the island and they go back to this mansion and they're auctioning dinosaurs off for like $400,000 when they sell bones for like millions of dollars, which makes no logical sense. And then then all the dinosaurs get loose in a mansion and it becomes Resident Evil. And the dinosaurs have time to like run around and be like, rawr, rawr, but they get to the bedroom where they're hiding on a bed and they're like, I'm going to sneak through the window. The dinosaurs have personalities when they choose. And then all the dinosaurs are like in there and the whole mansion's burning down because like a T-Rex knocked over a candle when he was 4 or something. And this clone little girl is like, I have to let them all go. And this is the line. They're alive, just like me. We already agreed the dinosaurs are murdering people. Don't let them into the world. So they let out like 100 dinosaurs. They're like, it'll be fine. No one's gonna die. Everyone just got murdered in this mansion by these What? Why? Why? The dinosaurs eat people. You're letting the dinosaurs into the world to eat more people. Kill the fucking dinosaurs. Jeff Goldblum said it best. They're bad. That's his like one line in the movie. So like they did it because they have to get the dinosaurs into the world. But like if you're going to do that, have a T-Rex escape and roam New York and blow up a gas station. At least the T-Rex had a chance and it was only one dinosaur. Sorry, that movie pissed me off.
Let it be known that Jack has more intelligence than Jurassic Park does now. Really think about that, folks.
But regardless, I mean, Chris Pratt was really trying for the Indiana Jones thing because that was a thing back then. But
he still is.
I've seen defenders of this movie who think it's good. If you think it's good because it's bad, I can accept that fact. But this movie is poorly written. You just want to defend something because you have no taste. I'm just saying it right now. You can like a movie because it's bad and stupid and you can laugh at it. But if you think it's a genuinely good movie, you're either like the dumbest 5-year-old in the world. Because when I was 5, I thought like everything was the best thing I've ever seen. Or the stupidest adult on the planet who doesn't know how to write a movie or ever seen anyone write or read a book or even looked at a book title or even like been to a bookstore or walked by a bookstore like a block away to know that this is bad writing. So I have no hopes for this movie. This movie's going to be a pile of crap. I'm not going to see it because I'm not interested and I don't want to support horrible garbage movies on the big screen. Make a competent movie and don't just bring back legacy acts because it's a good idea. You had great characters in those first 2 movies that you threw away and made stereotypes and silly jokes. Make them the focus of the movie. Don't run in heels away from a T-Rex. Make a logical film. People like Jurassic World because it's the only one that's grounded. Because it's on an island, there's dinosaurs, and they run away. That's why people like it. It's not good. It's the only one that makes sense because Jurassic Park 3 is very silly.
I've never been a Jurassic Park fan in all seriousness.
The first one's
and as
good.
I've gotten older, yeah, the first one's perfectly fine. And then they all started repeating themselves and started giving the exact same message over and over and over again.
Yeah, we get it. Life is precious. Do something else with your franchises. Also, fun fact, it's the only sequel that Spielberg has ever directed.
He's not... Oh, Lost World, yeah.
Yeah, which had a moment or two.
Not counting Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's directed very few sequels, so all I know is I don't care. Oh my goodness. Then we have something called The Righteous coming out the same weekend. Never heard of it. Let me just read the description here for you. A burdened man feels the wrath of a vengeful god after he and his wife are visited by a mysterious stranger. It's directed by Mark O'Brien. Go back there. Directed by Mark O'Brien, written by Mark O'Brien, starring Mark O'Brien. So it's a writer-director project. And Mimi Zuka plays, as well as Henry. I've seen this Henry Sarek.
Henry Czerny.
Yeah. Don't know anything about it. It's black and white. It's artistic. Could be interesting. I don't know.
It definitely has. It's really hard to say. Like, it definitely has an edge to it. There's a lot of. One thing I'm starting to realize is that art house horror has a lot of religious symbolism, regardless
100%.
of whether it's pro or anti.
Yeah.
And this definitely ties into like faith and grief at the same time, because it's about a couple grieving over the death of a child, and there's something special about this child reading into it already that I don't want to spoil, because
don't tell me.
Wow, that's some baggage to deal with. And the fact that it's black and white, that sounds really interesting. And I said this last year in 2021, how black and white is starting to have a bit of a resurgence as time goes by. What I'm not really being sold on is that this is 137 minutes. And this doesn't really sound like the kind of movie that justifies that kind of length.
That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to find out. Could be Lamb, I felt, was too long, but very interesting and conceptual stuff. So I just felt it could have been 20 minutes shorter because, ambiguously staring at windows gets a little old after a while.
I don't know. I felt like it was obvious what the metaphors were every time they did that.
Yeah, but after a while you sort of just have to move on and tell the story at the point. But yeah, it looks interesting. So then the same day we get a movie called Brian and Charles, and this one I actually know a little bit about. It's about a man who builds a robot that he talks to and lives with, and it's his best friend.
Really?
Yeah, it's directed by Jim Archer, and it stars David Earl and a robot, this like mannequin thing. Looks really weird and quirky, and sort of want to know a little more about it because it's very vague.
Yeah, and if a comedy like this is that vague, I'm kind of curious if there's going to be some hidden metaphor I don't know about, because usually with stuff like Robot and Frank or I'm Your Man, there's usually a catch to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what it will be, but it looks interesting to say the least.
Oh, 100%.
And then we get Lightyear. You had some thoughts on this. We were talking before, and you're like, "Oh, Lightyear."
Yeah, so if anybody saw our most anticipated for 2022, you might remember that this was one that I started off being really excited for, because I saw the teaser trailer where David Bowie's Starman was playing in the background, and it had this dramatic old school space adventure feel to it through the cinematography, the seemingly slightly darker edge that the images in the trailer were trying to give away, where Buzz was staring off at this ship, dreaming of the astronaut that he could be, him doing his first test flight, sifting through a jungle, trying to be undetected. And then it would bookend with the only lines in that trailer where him and Uzo Aduba do the To Infinity and Beyond, which in this, I guess, is like Star Command's motto. And on that end, I was really excited, especially because Chris Evans is the one playing Buzz. And apparently he was the only choice the director, Angus MacLean, had with casting. And it's a great casting choice. Then when I went to see Doctor Strange, I decided to close my eyes because I found out that this was like the full-length trailer. And we found out, or at least they were going to tell us what this movie was going to be about. And it starts off with him doing his typical space log in a Star Trek style, where it's just like Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, time and date, this and that. We are venturing out into space. And it sounds so serious. And then his partner walks in. It's just like, "Hey, were you monologuing with yourself again?" No. It makes me concentrate more. Nobody listens to that, right? Yeah, I know. And I just sat there and I went, fuck, are you guys modernizing a popular character again? And
Well,
of
that's what
all
Disney
characters, yeah, but like it makes no sense. And not to mention the trailer gives away like the gist of what the plot of the movie is. I won't spoil what it is, but it sounds so it sounds a little too simple for me and a little too complicated because without spoiling anything, it makes Buzz seem like a complete and utter idiot. Meanwhile, all the other characters around him, despite being sarcastic and kind of dopey in their own right, sound technically smarter than he does. And I just sat there and I went, oh, fuck, they're doing this again.
I mean, if I was to guess, and I'm going to take a wild guess here, if I had Buzz Lightyear, I would just rip off Alien.
And with the teaser, that's exactly what I thought we were going to get. I thought that Zurg was going to be this monster movie type of villain. Now I'm not 100% sure because I don't think they even mentioned Zurg by name in the trailer. I might have missed that, but
Zurg's his father, technically,
incredibly
according
easy.
to Toy Story 2.
It's incredibly easy to miss given the fact that most of it is just your standard modern comedy where they're bantering with each other, calling each other out for exactly what they said and repeating it out loud to make them sound stupid. And I just sat there and I went, this is not what I wanted. This is just
Well, we all
pathetic.
know you can't make any jokes in comedy because you'll offend someone anymore. So it's all about the situation now. It's all situation.
Well, that does remind me, it's gotten a little bit of publicity for better or worse based on stuff that they couldn't decide whether or not to keep into the movie. Apparently, this, I guess, was going to make history as like the first same-sex kiss in a Pixar movie, which,
Okay,
okay,
sure, why not?
whatever, no
Yeah,
problem
go for it.
there. Then they decided to cut it out at the last minute
China
for reasons
box
that
office, probably.
for Chinese box office more than likely. And then after everything that happened in Florida, which I'm just going to flat out say it, nobody is getting that situation right. It's impossible to figure out what the actual scenario is down there. But after that, after the publicity that Fantastic Beasts basically edited out the secret of Dumbledore that he porked Grindelwald. Why
Well,
Dumbledore would pork Grindelwald of all people, I'm not 100% sure, but whatever. The fact that that was edited out so they could screen it in China, they're just like, oh, so yeah, we keep saying we're progressive. We're going to be even more progressive. We're going to put that kiss that we animated and recorded back into the movie. And I just sat there and went, you fucking idiots.
I mean, Disney is trying to create a conversation. They're trying to do stuff. If they remove it, then people get up in arms. If they put it back in, then people go see it in the movie theaters. They're a controversy machine. They will do what they've always done. They own everything and don't know what to do with 90% of it.
Well, here's the issue. They're not creating a conversation. They're throwing in exactly what their audiences are demanding for. And people can say whatever they want about the old school Disney movies. They're technically more outdated. They're technically more uncomfortable to sit through in regards of the culture. I have no problem admitting that. But here's the thing. Old school Disney was always on the verge of going bankrupt. So whatever they did, they told the story their way, but also appeasing to the crowd in terms of entertainment. And they had a lot to lose. They had to focus on the entertainment first in order to get people back into the seats. And honestly, Disney was better off going on the verge of bankruptcy because they had to be more creative. They had to be more spontaneous. Now that Disney owns just about everything that you can think of, the only risk they have is pissing off audiences in regards to what they think is best for the world. And I'm sorry, but a movie studio's priority is not to focus on what is best for the world. It's to take you away from the world for like 2 hours plus. And I know some people are gonna...
I wouldn't be so sure. The new person who bought Discovery is like, our only business is to make money. Why'd you greenlight Cry Macho from Clint Eastwood? Yeah, and he said, we're not in the business to make friends. We're here to make movies and make money.
Which is a good statement to make. I mean, using Cry Macho as an example, I would not call a good example because I've seen it. And while it's
not perfect,
okay,
but I don't think it's
okay
terrible.
at best. The worst thing I can say about Cry Macho is that it's just a crappier rendition of Unforgiven and Gran Torino combined. It's still fine for what it is. But
well, regardless, movies are becoming less creative, more about money. I'm not. I
And
don't
it's
know.
more about, and as Critical Drinker would point out, it's more about the message. Which, look, I have nothing against this particular message. In fact, one show that I'm going to be starting up on Disney Plus for the sake of covering, because it's ending soon, is The Owl House, a show that has received a lot of credit for the fact that the main girl and this one friend of hers are actually together and actually do kiss on screen. Like, they go both ways. And I just sat there and went, okay, that's actually decent. But
Didn't even hear
the
of
things
it.
that I've seen
Never.
within the show, the entertainment is the focus. The characters developing from flawed to much more stronger and relatable and much more compassionate characters. That was the forefront of it. It's not about like blaming other people for their issues, or the Mulan remake message where the problem isn't you, it's everybody else. You just got to learn to accept yourself. And that's basically what fucked up the remake, in my opinion.
I mean, the American Mulan was fine. I just didn't care. I was bored. There was no singing.
That part didn't matter to me. I mean, and look, I don't actually like Mulan as a movie. I think it's okay at best. But the character had an emotional journey where she had to learn things just like everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
In the remake, she's a superhero. And
Everyone's
the movie
a superhero
unintentionally.
nowadays, don't you know? It's superhero season. Y'all invincible. I'm invincible. They invincible.
No, but I mean, like, she's invincible, but nobody likes her because she's strong and she's not supposed to be strong. And I just sat there and went, are you encouraging everyone to just wake up perfect? That's a terrible message to teach.
Well, it's a movie. That's what my whole thought was on that. I don't have any strong opinions on Mulan. It's a movie.
Yeah, like I'm definitely gonna go see Lightyear based on the cinematic look that they're giving towards it. Apparently, they switch aspect ratios during the IMAX sequences, so there's obviously a lot of care given to the craft. It's just I'm wondering whether these character archetypes are going to hold things back, and I'm wondering if Buzz is even going to be the main character, just based on how I've heard more lines of dialogue from the side characters. And one of them you can tell is Taika Waititi, because he's not even trying to hide his voice. And I've already sold you on that one, haven't I? Yeah.
I love Taika Waititi so very much.
Well, like, you hear the side characters talk more than Buzz. You hear them do more useful stuff than Buzz. I'm kind of wondering if he's just going to take a backseat in his own movie, again, for the sake of the message.
Oh, I know what you mean by dialogue. It's from the director of Finding Dory. I get it.
Yeah, but I like Finding Dory.
Finding Dory had its charm. There was some good. I like the whale. It's a cool character. Coming out the following weekend, we have the fourth collaboration between Antonio Banderas and Penelope Cruz, Official Competition, about a wealthy businessman who hires a filmmaker to help them make a smash hit film. It looks very producer-esque, and it looks very cheesy and fun. Nothing too.
When you say producer, you mean like Mel Brooks, the producers?
Yeah, well, they hire someone to help them make a good stage play. But yeah, if you've seen Pain and Glory, or you've seen De La Mar, whatever, there's that other one. They made a bunch of movies together. They get along. It'll be a fine movie. It'll be good. I don't think it'll make my top 10 list, but there's going to be some good performances.
Huh. I don't think I've heard of this one, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Antonio Banderas and Penelope Cruz have been making Spanish films together for the longest time. So, I mean, it just makes sense. They're a good on-screen pairing. They're really good friends. I mean, if you watch any movie with them in it, you're just having a good time. Nothing too serious at points. I mean, some dramatic stuff, of course, but yeah, it looks good. I'm in for it,
They haven't done a movie together since 9 years. Wow.
I thought they did the Spanish film. Okay.
They did one called I'm So Excited, which is Spanish.
Oh.
And I'm actually kind of surprised this isn't in a Moldovar movie.
Oh, that's Javier
usually...
Bardem, who was in Pain and Glory, I think, with her.
Let me check, because I haven't actually seen that one. No, it was Banderas.
Yeah, Pain and Glory was 2013. So, and then there was another one.
No. That was 2019. That was the one about the director. It was basically Almodovar's life story.
Yeah.
Elements of it.
But they've done a bunch of Spanish films together that don't really hit the radar of everyone, but they're actually really pretty good if you get a chance. So, highly recommend.
I've heard a lot of good things about Almodovar. So
Very good director. Great
Apparently,
sense
he
of
really
humor.
does. I've heard he has a incredibly dark sense of humor that likes to push boundaries, and I'm all
Fair.
for that.
Yeah, but he's a very good director and he always gets a very good cast. Coming out the following weekend, we have another Peter Pan movie, The Lost Girls. Yeah, it's a thing. Coming out June 17th. Like her grandmother and mother before her, Jane before her, Wendy must escape Pan's hold on her and the promise he wants her to keep. It looks like a Shulky family fare. We have Ian Glenn of Game of Thrones and Resident Evil fame as Hook. I don't know. That sounds all right. I mean, he's an over-the-top villain. It's probably going to be meh.
I don't know about that.
It's a thing. The poster gives me little promise. I'm sure some little girl out there will find it as her favorite movie and enjoy it for years to come, and then we'll say it's an underrated classic and quote it for years or something.
I can't even find the poster for this, so that's.
I'm just on IMDb. It's like a boat, and they're standing in a field of like purple flowers, and two of them are looking at the boat.
Can't find it. Oh, okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
The ships in the
so-
sky.
It looks
Okay,
fine.
that's weird. It looks.
It's fine.
Oh no, that's a different Lost Girls movie. Never mind.
Well, you know
Oh
what?
damn.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I'm not. How is this the movie that is throwing me off the most? Wow, I'm already thinking this is going to have shit visual effects. I'm staring at an older woman with like silverish hair. No, don't play the trailer. I just wanted to look at the image.
It
Oh.
can't be worse than Pan with Hugh Jackman, where they sing "Smells
Oh,
Like
and it
Teen
starts with them
Spirit."
watching a plane flying into the air. So that's not metaphorical in the slight. Purple sky. There was a purple sky in this. Okay, some of these visuals actually do look good
You know what?
in a Terrence Malick kind of way, where it's over stylized and it's whimsical.
Okay.
You know what? This is actually kind of winning me over.
All right. Well, you know what? I think
I
it'll
do
be
like-
cute. I don't think
it
it'll blow
looks-
any minds.
Wow, it is bright, colorful. It looks a little fake, but it's the amount of creativity that they're throwing in it.
I just feel like I've seen Peter Pan so many times in every iteration, and like, I like the old school Peter Pan. You know, I like that one's fun. Other than that, I could care less about the origin of the story, and I don't like Hook. I don't like Spielberg's Hook. I don't get it. I don't understand. I understand there's an audience who loves it. Robin Williams' worst performance besides Jack. So, yeah.
See, funny thing. Oh God, Hook's wearing a suit and tie. So this, I don't know. This is like modern or something.
I don't know, man. It's all the summer
Okay, the
movie
flight.
was.
Okay, the flight sequences are crappy green screen. I take that back.
I don't know. Well, you know, I think it'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me.
This might be. I can't tell if this is gorgeously shot, so bad it's good. I can't tell because the visuals look so good, but the tone, based on watching the trailer on mute, looks all over the place. And I can't tell if this is doing like the Once Upon a Time kind of thing where they're going back and forth between like the real world and the imaginary world. But yeah, like them flying in the sky. Oh my God, it looks so fake. It looks up to par with a David Hasselhoff music video. And that exact one. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Let
That
me
is
fly my
awesome.
motorcycle into the air.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
look,
see
a
this.
dancing seagull.
I gotta be honest with them, with all of the Wendy Darling descendants just like frolicking in the air like it's Terrence Malick, all these neon colors, and oh my God, it is modern. Peter Pan is just wearing a green khaki shirt. I mean, this looks better than Wendy. I had a terrible time with Wendy, and I should have accepted your warning on what it was going to be like.
I forgot
It's
that
like-
movie existed.
Like Peter Pan was not Peter Pan, he was Peter. They couldn't fly. Like there was no actual magic except the island was magical. It was. I still watch my Wendy rants from time to time because I still can't believe I got that upset over it because I love Peter Pan. Like the 50s Disney version is one of my favorite Disney movies of all
There's
time.
a lot of
It
great
gets
stuff
the-
in that movie.
It gets the whimsy, it gets the imagination, it gets the sense of awe and wonder. The 2003 version is actually all right. All
That's
things
one. Is that
considered.
called Pan or Peter Pan, or is that the?
No. It was called Peter. It was called Peter Pan.
Okay.
Jason Isaacs was Hook.
Okay, then I've seen it. Jason Isaacs is great as my favorite character. My second favorite character from Harry Potter. Oh,
Lucius, really?
Lucius Malfoy is my second favorite character. My favorite
Really?
is Bellatrix Lestrange. Just best role from Helen Bonham Carter ever.
Interesting.
Brilliant
choice.
performance.
Huh.
But yeah, next after that, same weekend, June 17th, we have something called The Good Neighbor. A budding friendship between two different neighbors takes a very tragic turn when David runs over a young woman and causes her death. This stars
Sorry, what's this
Luke,
called?
The Good Neighbor. It's directed by Stephen Rick. The Stephen Rick is known for things I've never heard of. It stars Luke Kleintank, that's his name, and Jonathan is cut off. Jonathan Rye Myers. I think this might be Don Rye.
Wait,
Davies'
John Rhys
son.
Myers.
John
Okay.
Rhys Myers. So yeah, he's from Vikings. If that helps. The guy from Vikings and this other dude. Could be interesting. Could be it.
I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of this straight to video poster, but
Yeah, it is more interesting than random heads. At least there's a car and a police line.
yeah, and these trailers keep playing automatic on mute, the more on IMDb, and this actually looks well shot. Everything looks like it's been locked down on a tripod or a Steadicam, so that part's pretty good.
Because
especially
it
if you're
gives
making
me
a thriller.
it gives me the color tone of The Guest, which we both watched a while back.
It does kind of look polished in that regard.
Yeah.
Little too digital, but nice contrast of like shadows and silhouettes. So like there's not a ton, but there's a tad bit of a noir look to it.
Like if you execute this really well and the chemistry is good between these two best friends, it's put out by Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. Those are books.
Really?
Yeah, like chickens.
Oh,
it was a
right.
whole thing.
I
Like
forgot
it could
about
be
those.
it could be interesting, it could be an interesting low budget crime thriller. But the one I do want to talk about, Elvis, coming out June 24th. Super pumped. I am an Elvis fan. I love Elvis movie. It's just a hot 2, 3, 4 Operation GI Blues. Loved his music, loved his movies. As cheesy as Viva Las Vegas and a lot of these are, I adore them. They are fun. They are pulp. They're not good. They're just really enjoyable hour-and-a-half cheesy comedies with like Elvis singing about he doesn't have a wooden heart or, whatever it is. It's fun. It could be, this could be really interesting. It's got Tom Hanks as a supporting role. I love Tom Hanks. He's a good guy in movies. I don't know him personally, but he seems like a nice guy. So I'm interested. And Austin Butler, no clue who that is. Probably seen him in something.
You have.
And it's
I gotta be honest.
yeah.
I'm not actually looking forward to Elvis, and most of it comes down to what they decide to market this movie with. When I saw the trailer for the first time when I went to see Father Stu, it was so jumbled and all over the place, and I couldn't really tell what parts of his life they were actually going to focus on. And the ones that they do decide to show, I've seen every musical biopic ever show these exact beats for the exact same amount of time. We know that there's going to be some event in his childhood that impacts the decision that makes him want to become a musician, but also leaves him scarred for life. There's that moment where he's discovered by the shady businessman slash agent. In this case, it's Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom, but doing a really awkward, and I can't tell, I don't know how to describe his Dutch accent in this, but wow, I thought his Mr. Rogers voice was ridiculous. And this is coming from a guy who absolutely loved him. As
Won't
Mr.
You Be My
Rogers.
Neighbor is a delightful film.
It's an amazing movie.
Or Beautiful
He's
Day
one
in
of
the
the
Neighborhood.
best parts
Sorry,
of
Beautiful
it.
Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah, and like he's great in it, but he didn't have to do the voice, and there was no point in doing it. We all know it's Tom Hanks dressed up as Fred Rogers. And it's the same thing here. I think he builds himself up as an actor with wider range than he actually does. Because here's the thing, Tom Hanks has never had the most range, but that's not why we watched him. We watched him because he had probably the most charisma out of any modern actor, and this is not a role that calls for it.
I mean,
But
I would say that The Rock has a ton of charisma, even in his crappy movies. That man is selling it. Like, and Emily
that's the
Blunt
only
has a
reason-
lot of charisma. Even in Jungle Cruise, she is really into her role. She always gives it 110%.
Oh, 100%. That was the only reason I went to see it in the theater.
Like The Rock and Emily Blunt, two of the most charismatic people ever on screen together.
Yeah, and it wasn't them that ruined the movie for me. It was really just everything else. But that's a completely different other story.
Yeah,
I do like the look of Austin Butler as Elvis. He definitely fits the overall feel of who Presley was as a person. He seems to have nailed the voice down. I have no idea if he's going to do his own singing, but if he can somehow replicate it, that'd be pretty good. Or if they hired like some high-level Elvis impersonator, like that would be interesting.
Yeah, I know it could be good. I'm gonna go see it. I've always liked Elvis. I mean, I don't know. It was a staple growing up. We watched Elvis movies. It was a thing.
Well, yeah, like, I love
so.
Elvis music. I haven't seen any of the movies. I've only seen like the music video portion of Jailhouse Rock where he sings about his time in prison, and that set piece was a really good set piece. And the most I know about his movies is that the Ninja Turtles impersonate Elvis in Blue Hawaii.
Blue Hawaii is my favorite Elvis film. I think it's very charming. It's like
That would explain why.
It's like the essential 60s rom-com along with Bringing Up Baby and Ninotchka. Like that, it's one of those. It's a cheesy movie. It's a rom-com. He sings, he falls in love. They're in Hawaii. It's great. Nothing too serious. You just enjoy it.
No, and that's kind of the thing that I don't understand about making an Elvis movie. He doesn't seem like he was that serious of a person outside of the standard drug use and relationship problems. I know that they're gonna allegedly try to delve into that. I don't trust fucking Baz Luhrmann of all people.
Yeah, that's my
seeing
biggest
as how-
concern.
Seeing as how, like, dude cannot make one shot feel flashy without calling attention to himself.
Well, he loves to make movies that are movies I don't like, so we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna give it a shot because I'll give it a shot. I'll go see it.
If I give it a shot, you're gonna have to come with me because that's the
100%.
only way
Let's go.
I'm
My
gonna be able to do this.
My wife could care less about Elvis Presley.
And one thing that kind of tipped me off over the fact that there really wasn't that much depth to be had with Elvis as a person is that they talk about the assassination of Martin Luther King, and Colonel Tom's like, very tragic, but it has nothing to do with us. And Elvis just goes, it has everything to do with us. And I just sat there and I went, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so there's this stigma, and this is a thing that Elvis Presley stole and popularized modern black music at that time. That was rock and roll,
or at least the
and stole
dance
spotlight.
moves.
So, they're probably commenting on that to a percentage. But Elvis is fun. It's nothing too serious. I don't expect anything too great of this film. I just
they'll
wanna
make it
see
serious.
just
I
a
mean,
little bit
I
of fun.
heard-
Give it to me.
What you said about him stealing or appropriating or whatever the fuck the case is, I heard that in a Bill Burr routine in his Paper Tiger special.
I mean, Eminem
And I
did it
just-
first. I'm the worst thing to black music since Elvis Presley and Without Me. Seems so empty without me. You know that song?
I can't say I have.
Yeah, Eminem. And he's got the superhero thing, and Dr. Dre and him are like Batman and Robin, and they're driving around, and
That actually does sound kind of cool.
it's a fun music video. It's probably my favorite Eminem song. Without Me is just a really good little bop. I mean, you could go lose yourself and stuff, but 8 Mile's pretty good. The next
Oh
one,
yeah, lose yourself for sure.
one of these, I'm curious. Coming out June 24th, The Black Phone. What do you think?
I'm definitely gonna go check that out. The trailers aren't really scaring me all that much, but it's the fact that Ethan Hawke is spending the majority of this performance with this incredibly weird, kind of cliched, but still fucking creepy looking mask. And the majority of this movie is being carried by a child performance who is locked in a room throughout the majority of it. Because for those who don't know, The Black Phone is based on the short story about a kid who is being kidnapped by this elusive serial killer with no name. I gotta figure out what his serial killer name is in this, but
well, there is some, like, it's directed by Scott Derrickson, who did Doctor Strange, Sinister, Deliver Us from Evil, which I recently watched, which isn't a bad little flick. I think it sort of jumps the shark on the reveal in the third part. The Snowpiercer TV show, he's got a pretty, like, he's got some good stuff on his resume. Like, he knows what he's doing when it comes to horror. So, like, this could be really good or it could be really cheesy. You're gonna find out. That's what I know. And Ethan Hawke, you always see him as like this good guy, sort of almost anti-hero. Like, the first role I think I saw Ethan Hawke in was Gattaca, where he played. Have you seen Gattaca?
I haven't, but I've heard tons of good stuff.
Basically, this guy, everyone is genetically modified, so it's a fake. He's genetically modified, and he gives a really good performance, sort of like anti-system sort of thing. Almost, it was right around that time where everyone was doing that Matrix thing, where like there was a system and they don't fit in the system. And then I saw him in a bunch of other roles, and like I think he's really good in First Reformed, and there's a bunch of great stuff he's done. So, I mean, this has all the right ingredients to be a really great movie. I think I just have to see it. I think the mask could be creepy. I think the trailer is giving us nothing, and I like that. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing the trailer is giving us to reveal, and that's the best part about these thrillers. I want to know as little as possible.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, I think it's already been put out in some film festivals because they were going to release this at an earlier time. There were movie posters up for this when you and I went to see Unforgiven a few months ago.
Yeah, it's been delayed or something.
But it premiered at Fantastic Fest, and people seem to like it good enough. Like, it's got 100% on Tomatoes, but there's only 12 reviews, and the average score is like 7.8. So the majority of people are going to agree that this is a good, not great movie, but that's still a pretty good
That's
sign.
all right with me. I don't need every movie to be perfect. I want to have some suspense. I want some mystery, and I don't want to be spoiled. And that's what this movie is going to give me, I think.
Yeah, and Screen Rant here says that some criticism for the pacing and number of scares, but praise for faithfulness to the source material, Scott Derrickson's direction, and Ethan Hawke as a fucking creepy serial killer called The Grabber, which is a very weird title for a serial killer, but this takes place in the 70s, so anything
I was reading
that
a side article.
I
was reading a side article about I follow classic TV shows because I like old TV shows. And it was a whole article on the 4 roles where Andy Griffith played a serial killer or a corrupt cop, and he plays these like horrible villains, and like he does such a great job, even though we know him as this like lovable guy who's just the sheriff, Andy Griffith, that iconic whistle tone, and it's Ethan Hawke is sort of like this lovable guy that could play a great role. And I'm really glad that, and I think you are, Tyler, too. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but Ethan Hawke hasn't really done too many major blockbusters and franchises. He's just sort of sticking to his small roots. He does smaller single one-off movies, and I appreciate that about him. Like, I don't mind if an actor sells out, but I just think there's more quality to be had through a film career if you don't do the bad, terrible blockbuster movies, whether they're good or not. Like, they could be, I think there's something to be said for someone who doesn't sell out to those and does smaller films.
He does pick and choose his blockbusters very wisely. Like, the first big budget movie I ever saw him in was Lord of War with Nicolas Cage and Jared Leto. He was the ATF agent that was constantly on their ass. And there's that great scene where Nicolas Cage monologues about how he considers himself a necessary evil, and one that if he didn't exist, Hawke would have no purpose because it's his job to hunt guys like him down for nothing other than pure glory. Because that's the real challenge with him, is that he's not one to be bribed, and he doesn't necessarily care about the law. He cares about being seen as a hero, and that's his flaw as a character. So that part was definitely interesting. One thing that's always been kind of off-putting about Ethan Hawke is that he doesn't describe himself as wanting to be known for villains, even though I gotta be honest, I think he has a much more sinister face than he does when he's a hero. Like, I know he can look very afraid in a given situation whenever he's in an action or a thriller. And I've seen him in Before Sunrise. He was a decent romantic lead. He can definitely pass as an everyman, but just in general, I think he looks more sinister and creepy. And now that he's embraced roles like Black Phone or his role in Moon Knight, where he was basically this divine cult leader, I think he's starting to broaden his horizons a little bit.
Well, I mean, even in Boyhood, he was really good too, as that sort of everyman as well, the father.
That's true, and part of it is how many movies he's done with Richard Linklater, where he's had enough practice, and the fact that Linklater does let him write his own lines.
All right, so then we're going to jump to the most random thing here, an A24 animation movie. Yes, they've done it. It's called Marcel.
Oh God, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Something about a tiny looking doodad that is alive.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know the source material, so I couldn't really tell you what the gist of it is.
I mean, Jenny Slate is in it, and she is hit and miss. She's funny. She does some decent stuff. So I don't know. It could be a thing. I have no clue.
This should really be proof that A24 really will do just about anything, and I applaud them for it. It makes them the most exciting studio to check out.
Yeah, it looks like a tiny garden gnome that comes to life and does things.
Yeah, and I'm very curious what. I just don't know how you can make a
it
plot
looks
out of
really
this.
well shot and very cute. I don't know
I'm
if
sure
it
it
sustains
will
a
be.
full movie. It reminds me of The Borrowers almost.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the small little creature who lives inside the wall and does things, and they'll probably slowly get exterminated by the humans who live there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
you
I'm
know
getting.
what? Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Oh God.
It looks all right. It looks very different, and that's okay with me.
I got no problem with it being different, and I guess it's technically a compliment that we can't figure out where this is gonna go. But at the same time, I'd like enough to at least like imagine the scenario in my head.
I mean, then we have Olga. Let's see what Olga is. Olga is a 15-year gymnast it's a gymnast who decides to betray her country. So we get a true life story of the Soviet, Switzerland, Ukraine, whatever. Yeah, it looks like a true life biopic. I'm sure it'll be just fine if you're really into gymnasts, you know. I don't personally understand the sport, swinging around a pole or doing this or, jumping the high jump. It's sort of sports related. That's a little outside my field of things I enjoy.
Clearly, because you make it sound a lot more dirty than it actually is.
Well, that was not the intention.
Yeah, I know. When you said swinging on a pole and jumping, I just sat there and I went, what the fuck do you think this is about?
High jump. That's what they're doing. The high jump. And then they would do like the funky bar things, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Regardless,
well, it's not a long.
Looks fine.
Well, it's not a long jump if she's a gymnast. Because you said
know.
high jump, I instantly thought of the Jackass
Touchdown,
jump.
5 points from the 3 minor line. Sports are difficult for me. I don't get why men in spandex running around is something America's favorite pastime. I don't get it. Well, I don't know.
I'm not going to comment on that.
But I really, really want to hear what you have to say on this next movie. Minions: Rise of Gru. I have my thoughts. What do you think? How much money is it going to make?
Too much. No doubt about that. Okay, so I'm not going to act like I've never enjoyed Despicable Me. I do like the first two movies.
Yeah.
The first one more so because it did seem like kind of a new idea at that point, even though it was basically Shrek, but he was a mad scientist villain learning to be a father. And the concept of that was pretty decent. The minions were actually likable at that point because mostly the designs were brand new and it was mostly a made up language. And that part definitely had an instant appeal that elevated a little bit of the slapstick. And the slapstick between the minions and between Gru every time he was facing off against Vector, who was played very well by Jason Segel, that stuff was really good.
Yes,
But
but
the relationship
minions
between-
were better in small doses. They're not meant to carry a movie.
Significantly.
They're meant to be a small side story. The main story is the relationship between the father and the daughter, the adoptive father, the stepkids, whatever you want to call it. That's the movie. That's what we care about. There's heart to it. There's no
Yeah.
hearts to a fart joke.
No. But like the one thing Despicable Me and Shrek have in common is that you're taking this character who is lonely and lost and missing something in life and then being forced to be introduced to people who can bring a lot of compassion and warmth to him that he's sheltering himself from because he's afraid of being disappointed. With the first Despicable Me, it was Gru and the kids. Despicable Me 2, it was him finding a wife, in this case, Kristen Wiig. And in the third one, it was kind of sort of reestablishing family ties. And they really jumbled that one a little bit, even though it was kind of back to basics. It took place after Minions, and thankfully, it was a little bit more of a return to form, even though two Steve Carells didn't exactly work comedic wise. And with all of that in mind, and the fact that this is going to focus on Gru's childhood, even though we kind of already know the gist of what went wrong, he was raised by a mad scientist mother, Julie Andrews, who was funny in the few moments that she had. And she just didn't care for him. She didn't think that he lived up to her expectations. We already know these things from the first three movies. Do we really need a movie about him as a kid to already learn this stuff? So the message is already completely screwed up, but that's besides the point. Minions is front and center in the title, and I'm sure they're gonna somehow blame the Minions for him not living up to his mother's standards, which, if that were the case, wouldn't he have just ditched them at one point? Hell, he probably is going to ditch them at some point, and then he's going to return to them because he realized because he can't be evil on his own. He needs help. He needs assistance. All that stuff he already learned in the movies.
But this movie stars Danny Trejo, Dolph Lundgren, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't know what they're doing there. Maybe they're like a trio of evil minions.
Someone tells me that I'd be blown away if they were like a group of supervillains that Gru lives up to or something like that.
Maybe.
Fucking predicted it. That is exactly what it is. They're a group of supervillains that Gru lives up to and wants to join. Wow.
It's probably going to be set in the 80s, and they'll do that. But moving on
70s.
from Minions
The
to
70s
something
specifically.
70s to something completely random, Mr. Malcolm's List, because Emily Bronte just won't fucking die. A young woman courts a mysterious wealthy suitor in the 19th century England, starring Theo Thomas, Zawe Austin, and directed by Emily Holly Jones. I saw whatever that stupid female Sherlock Holmes thing was. Again, I'm tired of this renaissance.
Wait, Enola Holmes?
I'm tired of this renaissance of I'm falling in love in the 20th century, but it won't work out. Oh, look, it did. I get it. I'm bored. I don't care. What do you think? I don't have a trailer for this.
I'm sorry, what is this called?
Mr. Malcolm's List. Mr. Malcolm is clearly just going to be a Mr. Darby clone, and that's the story. And then they had that Bridgerton that's been out. Like, everyone just keeps making these shit period pieces that no one wants. The best one was Pride and Prejudice and Zombies because there were zombies. That's the good version.
not sure that there's really enough for me to make an opinion on this. It doesn't really get into specifics on like what the revenge is going to be that this woman has in store for Mr. Malcolm. I can't really tell what it is that requirement on his list of qualifications for a bride. Oh, geez, so we already know what the message is going to be there. When are people who make these period? I can't. How is it that this is breaking us already? I don't understand.
I just don't understand why period pieces do so well. Who is the audience for this? I don't know anyone in my entire family, friend, any group that says, I can't wait to see another high British movie, except for like Downton Abbey, because they like Judi Dench. And that's the only reason they see it, because they like Judi Dench.
Maggie Smith. Judi Dench isn't in though.
Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, any of these, they see these things and, you know, whatever.
My mom absolutely loves Bridgerton, and that's fine. I got no problem with that. I don't see the appeal behind it.
But now what
part of the
they're doing,
problem I have with these period dramas is that it's basically the exact same story over and over again.
Yeah.
And look, there's nothing wrong. The moral, the theme, and the message behind it is a good message. But here's the thing. Movies have been telling this exact message for decades. It's not our fault that you weren't watching or weren't paying attention to it. Okay?
I just feel like they've done this thing to death. Like, I get why people get mad at the Marvel Universe. They've done it to death. It makes total sense, you know? Like, do something
The only difference
different,
they bash that more often is just because it's been around for a shorter period of time. Period dramas like these, they're spread out a hell of a lot more. So once a new one comes, everyone forgets that the old one that might have done it better even existed. And I hate that mentality that goes behind that.
It's like every 4 years they give us a new Black Beauty, and the generation of teen girls coming up, and they're like, oh, a girl and a horse. It's like they forget the other version exists. It's a thing.
Exactly.
So then on July 1st, we have Most Guys Are Losers, starring Andy Buckley, Maria Sorvino, and directed by Eric Ustain. We are getting into the obscure now. He's never directed anything. This is his directorial debut. He's only produced. So on Thanksgiving weekend, that's weird. In Chicago, a college kid from California seeks approval from his dad's girlfriend, a bar owner, and the author of the dating book, Most Guys Are Losers. So I guess down-to-earth life drama. Yeah.
This is going to be up to quality with every other movie based off of a self-help book along the lines of Think Like a Man or What to Expect When You're Expecting.
See, now this is the movie that should have been produced by Chicken Soup for the Soul movies.
It definitely lives up to the studio's name.
But
I will say this, the title is much more misleading when you actually read into the overall plot.
But then the following weekend, we get the movie I'm looking forward to, the movie I can't wait, Thor, Love and Thunder. Give it to me now. I want it. This is the one I want. Taika Waititi. You got the Guardians mixed with this. Natalie Portman is back doing her thing as Thor. You got Tessa Thompson. I mean, I can't wait. The best part of the Endgame and the Infinity War movies were the interaction between Star-Lord and Thor competing with each other. And that's awesome. Like, I just think I haven't watched a trailer. I know absolutely nothing. I don't want to know anything. I just want to watch the movie. And my favorite MCU character of all time, Korg, is back. So let's go.
I did see a teaser for it before Doctor Strange both times I went, and it looks all right. The nicest thing I can say is that Taika Waititi still is probably the most vibrant and colorful of filmmakers out there, seeing as how he's the only director I know who's allowed to like go beyond the murky gray color palette that most MCU movies have. I don't know what makes him an exception, but Thor is still just as likable, charismatic, and funny as he's ever been before. they only show like a couple of interactions between him and the Guardians in the teaser, and it's mostly Peter Quill actually giving him some thoughtful advice. So it's clear that they're growing on each other while still being a little, him being more hesitant and Floor just being so aloof to the fact that Star-Lord still doesn't like him all that much. I've seen a picture, and only a picture, of Christian Bale as the villain, and
don't know anything.
I gotta say, he actually looks pretty messed up as this God Crusher or God Killer or something like that. But my big issue is Natalie Portman as Mighty Thor. I just don't buy her, and based on the few things that I've seen her like dressed up in costume with the hammer, and I just sat there and I went, yeah, this isn't working so far.
Well, I think the thing is, Natalie Portman is a good actor in certain circumstances. When you give her a good director and a good writer, the script works. And Taika Waititi is a good writer and a good director. Darren Aronofsky with Black Swan, good writer, good director. The person who did Jackie, very well done. So I think she gives a good performance because she's got great people to back her up. And you know what is really exciting about this? Gamora's not on the cast list. We don't have to worry about alternate world Gamora. We don't have to worry about, from another timeline when I should be dead. Like, we can just focus on what's happening.
Hey, how many times do I have to tell you that's not the one being brought back?
Gamora is dead. If you're gonna kill the character. Don't even bother.
Yeah, the one he fell in love with is dead. The one that doesn't know him is alive. Okay.
Yeah, but then he's got to re-fall in love with her. I don't care. But yeah, I want this movie. I'm super awesomely hyped for this movie. I'll probably see it at the drive-in in a double feature. That's my thing. You were hyped for Doctor Strange. I'm hyped for Love and Thunder. So,
well, I'm hyped for Doctor Strange because I've already seen it a couple times, and it was legitimately that good, in my opinion. I know there's some people who were bothered by the pacing and some of the writing because a lot of people wanted something more serious with these characters as opposed to Sam Raimi kind of going for half Marvel gig, half his own shindig. But it's Sam Raimi. Like, that's what we pay to see from him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was allowed to have some horror sequences within the movie, that is really saying how much faith that they have in him as a director, and it absolutely pays off.
The OG biggest MCU superhero director for many years, besides Bryan Singer. So,
yeah, and go back and watch the original Spider-Man trilogy. There are entire sequences that it might as well be a monster movie as opposed to a superhero film.
Yeah, that movie. There's a lot of those movies are very fun at points. But I think we did a full Spider-Man review. I have no clue.
No, we never did.
There's so many Spider-Man movies. So then we have coming out the next weekend, July 15th, Where the Crawdads Sing, a crime thriller in the Deep South. I
never read the book, and it honestly looks so melodramatic and soapy at that I can't take it seriously. I like that there are serious actors in there. I'm blown away by the fact that David Strathairn, for one, is playing a good guy and is playing the lead character's defense attorney. Like in any other movie from any other studio, he would have been the prosecutor because he usually does play the scumbag in the movie. It's only once in a while, like Good Night and Good Luck or Nomadland, where he actually plays a decent-hearted guy. So I do like that he's proving himself to be a much more versatile actor. But outside of that, I know exactly where this is going to go. She's going to be accused of the crime. There's going to be like some evidence against her based on corruption and nothing else. There's going to be like dumb luck or coincidence that gets her off the hook. Because let's face it, she's not going to lose at the very end. There's no suspense in that.
I think this movie hits a certain 40-plus senior crowd. And they'll go support it, and that'll be it.
This will probably get like a YA thing based on like the popularity of the book.
Fair
At
enough.
least from what I've understood.
Well, also on that day, we get something called The Gray Man. You heard of this?
I just heard about it. This is the latest movie to come from the Russo brothers.
Yes, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, starring Ana de Armas from, it was West Side Story or In the Heights. I can't remember. And
neither. It was Knives Out, actually.
Knives Out. and it's a Netflix movie, so that sort of kills my hopes.
Well, the fact that they're the ones in charge of it, and like, say what you will about Extraction, I didn't think it was a good movie story wise and action scene based. It was
The
mostly
action was
just
good.
Chris Hemsworth, but it was just Chris Hemsworth shooting at people and only once in a while actually using his fists, and I found that part incredibly underwhelming. The fact that they're in charge means that this might actually stand out a little bit more, and I do like that. Even though Ryan Gosling is the hero, and it's really cool to see him be an action hero for once.
Well,
What's got me interested? Well, I don't really count Drive because it's not exactly the same as any other blockbuster action
Place
hero.
Beyond the Pines? Was he an action hero in that?
I wouldn't really call him a hero in that either.
Okay.
But regardless, what got me interested, but also a little scared, is that Chris Evans is the villain.
I'm into that.
Which I find really weird. Like, I know Knives Out, he proved that he can be a scumbag of a villain, but that's not the kind of villain that he's going to be playing this. He's going to be some unhinged assassin, and I imagine him being a little chatty and over the top as opposed to being his usual charismatic self. And that part might worry me a little bit, because when I hear Chris Evans as a villain, I imagine Lalo from Better Call Saul just being 100% composed and charismatic. Even when he shoots someone point blank in the head, his face doesn't change, his tone doesn't change. And I'm kind of worried that he's going to be like that loud, over the top villain that you would expect from a regular Netflix action movie.
I don't know. It looks interesting enough.
But I will check it out. That I know for
yeah.
sure.
Then the following weekend we have a movie that could be interesting to seniors. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. It's a Universal title. It's about a maid who's worked for a house for a very long time, and she inherits a whole bunch of money, so she goes to Paris. Yeah, and she falls in love with a dressmaker. You get the picture. It's not going to blow any minds, but it's going to hit the senior crowd, and your mother won't stop talking about it.
That would imply that seniors would want to go out in public right now.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I think it'd be cute. Then this is one I'm very curious on. You're a big animation guy, right?
I like to consider myself to be.
What the fuck is this Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank? I don't get it. I've seen the poster. I've watched the trailer. It's like a dog who gets a sword. It looks like discount Kung Fu Panda to me, but I don't know.
Oh shit! Is that the one with Michael Cera and Samuel L. Jackson?
It is.
Oh my god! That finally made it to theaters.
Yeah, it's coming out July 15th. The poster looks like garbage. The animation looks like it's from 10 years ago.
That's because it is. It was supposed to come out years upon years ago.
Okay.
But because of studio financing, it kept getting delayed over and over again. This was a movie that I never thought was ever going to be made and completed.
Huh.
And this is actually supposed to be a tribute to Blazing Saddles. In fact, the original title of the movie was Blazing Samurai, but it was Michael Cera as the lead. And Mel Brooks actually does have a voice cameo in the movie.
Huh. So do you think it's going to be any good?
I doubt it, but a part of me does want to see what 10 years worth of delays looks like. A part of me wonders if it's going to be as bad as that Rumble shit where Will Arnett was a WWE wrestling monster with Terry Crews. Did you see those trailers?
I did not.
Well, lucky you. Proof that WWE should not be making family or kids entertainment.
I don't know. The Flintstones versus WWE in 2015
not that kind of stuff. Not like crossovers, like them actually legitimately trying to make.
Oh, well, they made the last Leprechaun movie and it had some decent moments. Leprechaun.
Yeah,
Origins.
but that was they proved that they can make like straight to DVD slashers, like See No Evil with Kane, but I don't really count all of that stuff. But
fair.
With Michael Cera, Samuel L. Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks, George Takei, Jaimin Unsu, Michelle Yeoh, some guy from The Daily Show. How did this many actors get roped into?
Is this a food fight situation?
Oh, it is definitely a food fight situation. And the worst part is one of the directors of this, Rob Minkoff,
Yeah.
is one of the directors of The Lion King.
Huh.
I mean,
Well,
think about that.
This is a train wreck to watch.
Yeah. It is just, it doesn't even look like that could come out of Michael Cera's mouth. I'm looking at this dog and I'm just sitting there going, really? Which is weird. Like the poster for all of these years has actually been this orange tubby cat that has like the cliched samurai thong sticking out of his ass, which if that was the poster, that would not have landed anywhere. It's like that one Ice Age movie where it's Ray Romano bending down, and I just sat there and I went, nobody wants to see Ray Romano's ice hole. I mean,
everybody hates Raymond.
Well, I'll still watch reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond, but that's just because it was the one exception of shows like that.
So,
but
I never thought we'd talk this long about a silly anime movie.
I forgot what the title of it was until I didn't watch this, but there was a trailer that Samuel L. Jackson introduced, and he actually sounded like he gave a shit. Which I really don't understand, or unless he's really that good of an actor. But yeah, between like delays, studio closures, like in 2016, some business I'd never heard of taking over in 2019. This was announced in 2014, so this is really fucking sad.
Wow. In 2014, I think this would have done well. We'll find out what it does today. So,
and it cost $45 million and is being released by Nickelodeon.
And that's all I got. Movie that made money. I mean, people like that, I guess. So then we have direct to DVD, July 15th, The Wrong Place, starring Bruce Willis. A cook hunts down a former police chief in a small town in order to silence him before he can deliver testimony against his family, but ultimately finds himself. ... It's a thing.
I don't doubt that.
But let's be honest. The one we want to talk about, July 27th, Jordan Peele's Nope. I have no clue what this movie is. I don't want to know anything. I want to go in blind because Jordan Peele has always delivered unique experiences, whether it's Us, Get Out. It's always something weird but grounded for the first half of the film. And that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that on first viewing, this is definitely going to leave a big impact. All of his movies do. What worries me is how rewatchable it's going to be in the future. Like when I saw Get Out, I liked it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I saw it again that I started to really appreciate the horror elements and the foreshadowing that Jordan Peele is so good at the most, that when I saw Us for the first time, my mind was already on foreshadow mode, and my friends and I were discussing all of the Easter eggs and hidden clues, like the one glove on the one hand being the most obvious MJ reference, because when she's abducted as a child, she's wearing a Moonwalker t-shirt, and that's the subtle hint that the doppelganger actually was the real girl the entire time, which that twist like really blew everybody's mind when it first came out. And then the second time I saw it, from a horror perspective and even from a comedy perspective, it just went down because you already knew what the metaphors were, so there wasn't really that much surprise to it. The jump scares weren't anything special. The only thing that really held up, in my opinion, was the score. His recurring composer is Michael Abels, and he's a really good composer, don't get me wrong, and I think he's coming back to do Nope.
I will check
here. And part of what makes me especially want to check out this movie is the cast, because you got a really good set of actors. Cast.
Michael Elvis is doing the music.
Okay, like Keke Palmer is incredibly preachy when it comes to just interviews and social media and such, but she's always been a great actress, and I do like that she's having a little bit more of a resurgence. You got Daniel Kaluuya back, which no real surprise there.
Keith David.
Yes, as as the patriarch of this family of Hollywood ranchers. That part I especially like.
He lives in
And
an RV in season 6 of Community.
And some actors that I wouldn't have expected, like Stephen Yeun or Michael Wincott from the Disney version of the Three Musketeers. So for those who don't know, Michael Wincott played the henchman in the movie with the eye patch who was always standing by Tim Curry, and he had that incredibly thick and raspy voice that always makes him a menace to listen to. I can't remember what other roles I've seen him in. Like he did the Kevin Costner Robin Hood as Guy of Gisborne.
Guy of Gisborne.
Guy of Gisborne. So you know who you probably know who that would be.
Is, yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't know a thing, but that's the charm of Jordan Peele. He's the most unique director working right now because we know what to expect from Cronenberg. We know what to expect from Spielberg. We know what to expect from Sofia Coppola. But Jordan Peele always has something unique and weird, and he's fresh on the scene, and I love it. I mean, it's always the most unique movie experience you're going to have in a year.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to kind of carve a little bit of a formula because all three of his movies now have a science fiction element along with the horror, a little bit of comedy because it's Peele from Key and Peele. Yeah. What would you expect? But he's constantly evolving the scale of it because this is being shot in 65 millimeters. So already he's planning for something incredibly massive. I think it goes without saying we know exactly what this mysterious event is going on or is being caused by. I think it goes without saying at this point.
Is it aliens?
In my opinion, that's probably what's going on. I mean, have you seen the original promo for it?
I haven't seen any material. I've seen a flying cow on a blue cover with the colored letters. Nope.
Okay. Without giving anything too specific away, other than the fact that everyone's constantly like staring up in the sky, and there's one sequence where Kaluuya is riding a horse like hell back to his house, and there's this giant cloud that is following him. That was one of the like best shots in the entire trailer, as is the final shot where a woman is running through like a dust cloud and sun throughout the sunlight in broad daylight, and she is like hoisted in the air by something. We have absolutely no idea what it is, but she goes like 10 or 20 feet up into the air, and I just sat there and I went, Jordan Peele knows how to make broad daylight look scary as hell. And before that, we only had like Ari Aster with Midsommar.
I would be excited to see what Ari Aster does next, but I don't think there's a slated movie for that. I'm just gonna go into this movie and see what happens.
I don't know when Disappointment Boulevard comes out, and I have no idea which genre it's even gonna be, but
then the follow also on June 22nd, we've got the movie that is we'll see if it makes money. How to Please a Woman, starring Alexander England and Sally Phillips, directed by Renee Webster. Looks like a rom-com, and they directed a bunch of TV. So there's that.
No idea. Couldn't tell you.
When her all-male cleaning business goes out of control, a mature woman must embrace her sexuality. That's a movie.
Wow, I can't even piece together what those two things have in common, but okay.
No, sounds like cougars are loose. That's it. The one I'm very curious about. What do you think of this DC League of Super Pets?
Not looking forward to it in the slightest.
Because I like The Rock, so there's that, and the animation looks fine enough. And I think it's interesting to have like the pets save the day, sort of like the Spy Kids formula, where the parents are incapacitated, they have to have the kids come in, but the dogs instead. So, you know, I don't know. It could be fine. It's gonna make money for sure.
No question about it. I mean, why do you think they got The Rock and Kevin Hart together now that they're kind of an established comedy duo when you think about it?
Well, Central Intelligence is a piece of crap, but you know.
Yes, it is, but Lord knows it made people laugh anyways.
I laughed sometimes. I wasn't pleased with the beginning and the end. So
I don't know about
public humiliation, he has to embrace the public humiliation by public humiliating himself. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Vanessa Bayer is in it. They grabbed SNL. They got John Krasinski. They got Mark Maron, Kate McKinnon. This is an SNL movie. Keanu Reeves is in it as Batman, which is interesting. Jamil Jamal is in it from the Good Place. You've got Ben Schwartz from Parks and Rec. Like they're really
what?
yeah. And then you got Natasha Lyonne from Russian Doll, who did a bunch of comedy. They're trying to pick up all the biggest comedy stars, you know. Thomas Middleditch from is it Sunny in Philadelphia or Silicon Valley?
I think it's Silicon. Yeah, it's Silicon.
So they're really scooping up every comedy person. It's from the writer of The Watch, the Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, and the Lego Ninjago movie. So yeah, you know exactly what you're getting on the humor here. I don't think it's going to be too much of a surprise, but I think families are going to eat this one up for the summer. I think this is going to be a hit.
Oh, there's no question that this is going to make money. And as you said, they're basically getting like the biggest celebrities who can also do voices to sell this, because these are not popular characters in the slightest. I mean, I did watch Crypto the Superdog on Saturday mornings.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh, yeah, it was a thing. And it was just as cheesy and sentimental as you would expect for a Superman show. It was a little more self-referential, and I give him full credit for that. But it was nothing out of the ordinary. Crypto wasn't especially that great of a character. And I can't say I'm that surprised that they needed someone as big as Dwayne Johnson. I do like the fact that Dwayne Johnson's going to play a more awkward character, because you do see in the trailer that he can't exactly connect with other dogs based on the fact that he is a superhero who fights crime, and the rest of them just lie around scratching themselves, and he has no social skills whatsoever because he doesn't really hang around with other normal dogs. Like that part I appreciate a little bit, but the jokes in this I just think are bottom of the barrel and kind of pathetic. Like Clark Kent ironing out his shirt and then going, they should call me Iron Man. No, I just sat there and I went, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. It really doesn't.
They've been playing this trailer for months. You can't escape it. They really want you to know this exists.
And as for Kevin Hart, who I'm not a big fan of, just because
he's okay.
He doesn't tell jokes, he screams them. Tell me if I'm wrong, okay?
No, he does.
I do like the. Oh, no, really? Okay. That's the one I got you on?
That's the one you got me on. Like,
I mean, I appreciate the fact that based on what we've seen, he's not going to scream the majority of them. I appreciate that part, but it's mostly just a bunch of shit and piss jokes. I mean, that one where, I don't know, he drank like 2 toilet bowls worth of water or something.
I mean, have you seen Secret Life of Pets? I'm a rabbit! That's his character.
Oh, Toy Story? No, I haven't seen that. It's Toy Story.
It is 100%. And Toy Story did it better.
Significantly.
Yeah, well, Toy Story had the relationship between Buzz and Woody, and it had the strong character bond between the entire group trying to achieve something. So the basis for the characters was there. And that was what made the film strong. Well, enjoying some funny gags and seeing this visual information. It was also one of the first. Coming out July 29th, hitting the end of the month here, The Reef, stalked. After her sister's murder, Nick, her younger sister, and 2 friends free solace on a Pacific island. Then they're stalked by a shark. I feel like we've seen this movie. I've heard of
The Reef. It's really just another shark movie.
I mean, shark movies, I don't know if it's Shark Week around there. Maybe they're launching. Who's in this movie? It's directed by Andrew Turok, who did The Reef, The ABCs of Death, and Blackwater, about a shark. So, you know, more shark movies in the summer there. Go watch Jaws is my opinion on all of this.
Or at least Open Water. That one really.
Yeah, with Blake Lively, right? Yeah. Then
no, that was The Shallow.
See what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, nobody doubted it.
Then on the same day, we have Vengeance, the most generic direct-to-DVD. I'm sure Bruce Willis made this movie 6 times already. A radio host from New York City attempts to solve the murder of his girlfriend and travels down south to investigate the circumstances of her death. Starring Dove Cameron, Boyd Holbrook, and Ashton Kutcher and Leo Tippin. Directed by B.J. Novak. That's a name that sounds familiar. The director, the guy from The Office.
B.J. Novak.
B.J. Novak is the
From
guy
The Office?
from The Office.
Okay.
Oh, he's Ryan from The Office, right? The guy from the other branch who like.
I guess so.
So maybe The Office has 2 great directors. We'll find out. I don't know.
One can only hope.
Could be good. Could be good. Who knows?
What I find weird is that this is a Blumhouse comedy.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I got no problem mixing comedy and thriller. No issue there.
No, I'm looking at the next movie, and apparently on August 3rd, 2022, we're getting Guns 3, alias Billy the Kid. It's a Young Guns 3 movie.
No idea.
Young Guns from the 90s with like Emilio Estevez. That Young Guns.
Oh, that, yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Should I have?
No, Young Guns is not bad. Then on August 5th, we have Resurrection, another direct-to-DVD title. Is it going direct to DVD? I don't know. Margaret's life is in order. She's capable, disciplined, successful. Everything is under control till David returns, carrying with him the horrors of Margaret past. Starring Rebecca Hall, Tim Roth, and directed by Andrew Simmons. Director of things I have never heard of. I don't know. Looks like a thriller. I like Tim Roth. He's cool. Rebecca Hall's all right. Could be good. Could be good.
I mean, after Night House, I'd love to see more of her.
Mm-hmm. Then this is the one that apparently people aren't happy with, and I can't tell you why. I think it looks dope. August 5th, we get Bullet Train. I think it looks cool. I think Bullet Train looks great.
I also think that Bullet Train is going to be a hell of a time. For those that don't know, Brad Pitt is an assassin in Japan who embarks on a bullet train to retrieve this briefcase that just about every other assassin on the train, because there are more than a few. We got Brian Tyree Henry, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Logan Lerman working as a team. Joey King, of all people, is an assassin. Zazie Beetz from Deadpool 2.
All right.
Weirdly enough, Brian Tyree Henry and Zazie Beetz are both on Atlanta. You got Michael Shannon, Hiroyuki Sanada, tons of great cast members. But here's the reason people are getting fucking upset.
Is it Sandra Bullock, the Melba Toast of human beings? Because she's
no,
boring.
although I do like the fact that she's just a voice in this. That part. The fact that she even agreed to it, I find very strange.
Cool, I'm fine with that. She was the worst part of the Lost City.
That part does not surprise me in
She's
the
just
slightest.
so boring. She doesn't care about her career at all. Like in Speed, she at least tried. I'll give her that.
Yeah, here's the reason people are so fucking up in arms about it.
Okay.
It's based off of a Japanese novel called Maria Beetle.
Okay.
And the book took exclusively place in Japan, followed Japanese characters, and sure enough, the fact that people are complaining that it's mostly Brad Pitt, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Michael Shannon, all of these guys, they think they're overshadowing the Asian characters in the movie. It doesn't even matter that they added in Black people, Mexican people, and yes, there are in fact Japanese characters within the movie. I mean, it takes place in Japan. I get that people are upset that the Asian actors are not in the lead roles. As you can tell by my stuttering, it really fucking frustrates me.
I get it, but
it really fucking
whatever.
frustrates me that you can't accept the fact that it is, by definition, a diverse cast of ethnicities that didn't even take place in the book, which one would think people would be grateful enough for that, but no. Diversity means like to a lot of people, diversity means like being front and center, not like actually existing alone. Because diversity does not mean the underappreciated actors being the stars or like the main focus. It just means it's diverse. There's not strictly just one group.
Well, if you went the other way and cast all Japanese, people would say, "Oh, it's not diverse. You can't win."
No, they
wouldn't
wouldn't say that. They would.
Then
that.
no
It's
one
like
would
saying
see it,
this-
and they're like, "Well, I don't want to see it because I've never heard of the actors." So they're clearly putting actors in here you've heard of, so you go see the movie. But then you put actors in, you won't see it, and all those people who are complaining about it won't go support it. They won't go seek it out. So I don't know what your problem is.
Here's the other thing. There are Asian actors in this who are well established in Hollywood. I mean, Hiroyuki Sanada has been in a lot of stuff. I mean, most people would remember him from The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. He was like the one stereotypical character that doesn't trust Tom Cruise from the beginning. Some people might know him as Jackie Chan's brother in Rush Hour 3. He was Scorpion in Mortal Kombat. He's done Speed Racer, The Wolverine. He was in Endgame as one of Ronan's targets when Hawkeye completely goes AWOL, and he's even done Westworld. Like, dude has an extremely experienced background. And then you have Karen Fukuhara, who most people may kind of remember her as Katana from Suicide Squad, which she was completely underutilized in that. So
she literally just showed up and died.
Well, she didn't die. That was the weird thing about it. Let's see. Masaoka from Heroes and the Hawaii Five-0 reboot. Like, seriously, there are actors that you're looking for that are in this movie. And for all you know, they might even be better than the characters you're complaining about. Because, yeah, Brad Pitt is awesome, but that doesn't mean that he's going to make the character all that fleshed out. If anything, he's playing a generic assassin that doesn't want to be a killer anymore.
He is the best part of the Lost City, if you see it.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Like,
he
Brad
has a
Pitt,
great role. It's so much fun.
Brad Pitt doing a cameo as like Fabio, the action hero, basically.
Fabio would be the no, he makes a cameo as like this rugged adventurer.
You know what I mean, though?
Fabio
like
is the other dude.
Like, I know Channing Tatum is technically the Fabio of the story.
Yeah.
But you get what I mean where I'm going.
I don't know. I'm still gonna see it, whatever. We'll find out once we see it. So
I mean, the thing that really hooked me is that it's a contained action movie that's also kind of a dark comedy, seeing as how they're all bumbling in some sort of fashion. And again, the trailer doesn't give away what the briefcase is, what the connections are. All it makes clear is that these guys are sick of fighting each other, but it's literally the only way they know how to go about it.
Yeah, well, I'll go see it. The next movie we have coming out, I've never heard of until this moment. It's called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. The tagline is, "This is not a safe space." A group of rich 20-somethings plan a party during a hurricane at a remote family mansion. Starring Amanda Steinberg, Maria Bakalova, Rachel Sennett, and Skeet Davison, or Pete Davidson from SNL, had his last episode there. Seems all right. I don't know. Teen party movies for me, just they get old really quick. They got to be done something special. Because like the ultimate teen party movie is Animal House. So if, you got to do better than Animal House, or I think very few of them can do that. And yeah, I don't know. It's a movie.
I can't even really piece together what the premise is. Like, I get
it's probably
that
like someone's a killer, someone has a secret, and all gets exposed, and either they all die or
I'm
become
reading
friends.
that. I'm reading that off of the Wikipedia entry right here. Like, they're playing a party game called Bodies, 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 which I guess is a murder in the dark kind of game. Oh, okay. So that's how the killer's gonna get away with the first kill, I guess.
Well, it might do okay. Well, we'll find out. That's my thoughts.
It
on
might.
that one.
I mean, yeah. boy.
But the next movie coming out August 5th, Joe Coy in Easter Sunday, set around a family gathering celebrating Easter Sunday, the comedy based on Joe Coy's life experience around stand-up comedy. So, this could be fun. I've never heard of Joe Coy. Maybe he's funny. Maybe this works out. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's the next Tyler Perry. Maybe it's the next Kevin Hart. Who knows? Because Tyler Perry took a while to get success. Kevin Hart got immediate success.
I mean, Tyler Perry kind of built up his success doing plays as opposed to anything else. And then when I guess he decided to film some of the play performances, it got so much traction that's where he got his movies. That's where Oprah noticed him, because there's got to be a rags to riches story there. That's Oprah's shindig.
Yeah, Oprah has her own network and no one watches it.
Well, not anymore.
I don't know. I mean, once she went off basic cable, no one bothered. So, yeah. Coming out August 5th as well, Secret Headquarters, starring Jesse Molnar and Owen Wilson, directed by Henry Joost, director of Paranormal Activity 3 and Nerve. About a secret headquarters that belonged to a superhero.
Wow. That's really all I got to say about it.
Yeah. Coming out on August 5th, I Love My Dad, in all caps, I should say. That's the original title. Starring Rachel Dratch and a couple unknowns. Estranged father is catfishing his son in attempt to reconnect. Comedy drama unknown.
I can see some funny and awkward scenarios coming out of that. I just don't know if that's going to get executed well.
Oh, we are hitting some direct-to-DVD shit here. Then we have the movie Beast. A father and his 2 teenage daughters find themselves hunted by a rogue lion, proving the savannah has more than one apex predator. Starring Idris Elba, which is cool. I like him. That's neat. And it's directed by the person who made Two Guns. So maybe.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who that is, and that doesn't really surprise me all that much. He's made one or two survival movies. I really liked his movie Everest, which
Everest wasn't bad.
It was a really good one, and I loved how they incorporated 3D into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but he also made Adrift.
I was okay. Shailene Woodley is the worst actor in Hollywood. No charisma, just not good at acting.
I don't see it quite that way, but
in Adrift,
didn't want to be there. Maybe. Well,
in a young adult adaptation, didn't want to be there. Did not care.
I don't blame her for phoning it in on Divergent. I think everybody phoned it in on Divergent. But when you see Fault in Our Stars or Spectacular Now, or even I can't remember what that one art house movie that she did with Chris Maloney was, but she was good in those. Part of me wonders how many projects she actually wanted to be a part of, or if her agents were pushing for her to be more mainstream. Because when you see her in stuff like Fault in Our Stars or even Big Little Lies, she was really good in that show. She actually is trying.
Every time I've seen her on screen, she just feels like it's a paycheck.
With Divergent, again, it's probably the case.
Yeah, and then coming out August 26th of this year, Samaritan, starring the one and only Sylvester Stallone. I don't care what this movie is about. I'm going to watch it. When a young boy learns about that a superhero who he thought had gone missing after an epic 20-year battle a year ago, maybe in fact still around, he tries to find him. Sylvester Stallone plays Joe Smith, the most generic name on the planet. It stars people and is directed by Julius Avery, who made Overlord. Oh, I love Overlord.
It was all right.
I'm going to watch this movie. I'm probably going to buy it, and I don't give a shit what anyone else says. Stallone is the coolest dude on the planet.
Well, this ought to be interesting. Oh, it's one of the Euphoria kids that discovers the superhero. That does kind of make more sense.
I figure Stallone plays the aged superhero who has to come out of retirement. He probably has like super strength or something. I'm not too mad at any of this. It sounds like a good time.
That's what does it for you.
Here's something interesting. This is our next one on the list because I know you don't have a lot to say about Stallone. The following weekend in August, we are getting After Ever Happy from director George Miller. A lonely scholar on an Istanbul island discovers Dinjan and offer him 3 wishes in exchange for freedom. So like a high fantasy piece. But here's the lead cast: Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton.
Sorry, you said this was George Miller?
George Miller.
Like Mad Max George Miller, because I typed
Mad
in
Max
After
and
Ever
Babe
Happy,
Pig
and
in the City, George Miller.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I typed in After Ever Happy, and that was that stupid After We Fell shit where
No, this is
They're in an
George
abusive
Miller, the guy
relationship.
who made Happy Feet. Yeah.
Okay, I found that's 3,000 Years of Longing.
Oh, we haven't got to After Ever Happy yet. 3,000 Years of Longing is the title. George Miller. Looks like a weird movie. Look at this poster.
Very Dante's Inferno-ish
Mm.
from the looks of it. I love that robe that he has over him. Is he clean shaven? Or is that a
It looks
goatee?
like it. I can't really
It looks-
tell.
It kind of looks like he's got a triangle goatee or something like that.
I mean, Tilda Swinton is everything she's been doing lately is incredibly interesting. So this is going to be interesting to the max.
Yeah, I never thought I'd want to say, let's have Idris Elba as a genie, but here we are.
You know what? I will probably go see this movie in theaters.
Oh, 100%. I will totally do that.
George Miller is always an event because George Miller makes so few films.
Well, I mean, he's made a decent amount. They've kind of just been spread out over time, and most, like out of the first 4 movies that he's done, 3 of them were Mad Max, and the other one was probably the best short in the Twilight Zone movie, where he remade Shatner's Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, and might have done it a little bit better, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But then you have like Witches of Eastwick, Lorenzo's Oil, where you don't really associate that with George Miller. And then you get to Babe Pig in the City. A lot of people think that he ghost directed the first Babe, and I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case.
I mean, I grew up with Babe. I liked both Babe movies. I thought it was fun, but it's full nostalgia for me though. So,
but yeah, like Mad Max, Happy Feet, and Babe are kind of like the biggest elements of his career. And of course, he's still doing the Furiosa prequel for 2024 with Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. I like
Anya Taylor-Joy, like I saw Last Night in Soho. I recently saw that one. I bought the 4K.
Oh my god,
she is so good. So
Chris
good.
Hemsworth is in the Furiosa prequel.
Huh. I was so impressed by Last Night in Soho. I thought, but the way they played with the horror elements and the nightclubs, and Matt Smith is really good. And then you have one of my
Matt
favorite
Smith
movies.
was okay.
I wish I had seen this in theaters. This movie blew my mind. I've seen it 8 times. It's
like
so
Last Night in
good.
Soho.
Yeah.
I've seen it one time. It was at TIFF, and that was a hell of an experience. I mean, the mirror, the reflection sequence where she sees the reflection on the ceiling, this bit right here, like I was shaking. It was like that intimidating, and I was more impressed. I was more impressed with Thomasin McKenzie than I was Anya Taylor-Joy, because like McKenzie, I haven't seen her. Because like with Anya Taylor-Joy, I've seen her do the horror gig so many times, and she is really good at it. But McKenzie, it was a lot more impressive because I hadn't seen her do something like that before, and she was a much more vulnerable character who had to deal with so much shit that she has never dealt with in her own spare time, let alone trying to help make peace for someone else.
I mean, I wish I had seen this in theaters. I'm very jealous of the style because this is a very Josh style movie because you can see the elements that I would play with in my own directing style in that movie.
Oh, for sure.
If I had a chance to go back and redo the top 10, this would probably be in it. Soho, love Soho.
Part of me wonders if I ranked it too low on my list because like it
Love
made
it.
it on there, but like there were so many other movies that was blown away by a hell of a lot more in comparison. And a part of me is hoping that with George Miller doing something that kind of feels like Tarsem Singh's The Fall, if that makes any sense.
No, it does not.
Okay. But like where it seems like he might be going grand just for the sake of going grand, because it actually premiered at Cannes 5 days ago, actually.
Huh.
And it got a 6-minute standing ovation. Let's see.
I want to see this. I just want it. Give it to me.
And the trailer actually came out the very day that it premiered. But there are some reviews saying like the story isn't as impressive as the visual marvels. It's still hard not to admire. So it'll probably be a style over substance movie. But at the same time, George Miller is one of those directors where I would totally be okay with that.
And then the next movie that's coming out is Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. This is a movie. I mean, I like the lead cast. Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown. It's about a church pastor trying to rebuild his congregation after a huge scandal. I feel like there's no Tyler Perry name connected to this. I'm very confused. So that's the thing.
Nice.
Then we have Ever After Ever Happy, about a girl, shocking truth, from the director of Adrift, with the lead character Hero Fiennes. His name is literally Hero. Those two movies I could care less about.
I can't remember. Like everyone compared After to 50 Shades of Grey because it's a terrible relationship, but they're still in love for whatever reason. Or is that even the same thing? Yeah, it is the same thing. Why are you still in love with him? Oh my God.
There's a lot of questions in the universe. This is one of them.
The actor's name is Hero. Okay, oh wow.
This one could be interesting. On September 9th, summer movie runs still in September. We get Salem's Lot. A writer travels to a small town where people become vampires. It's based on a Stephen King. It's got William Sadler, the most person who looks like a vampire in the universe, if there ever was a vampire. And I don't know, it could be interesting. It looks like a remake though. Because
it is. I think Toby Hooper either did a movie or a miniseries that a lot of people consider one of the great Stephen King adaptations.
TV miniseries from '79. So,
okay,
yeah. I don't know. Could be all right.
I got no problem with vampires, and it's a standard story.
Vampires
but
are
like,
interesting.
you got to get a really good director to make this basic, familiar type of thing feel organic.
Yeah. And then we have Brawlmaster, an Indian film coming out September 9th. The first part of a superhero trilogy. Looks like an Indian movie. Very silly, over the top, and they'll sing and dance. The CG looks awful. They don't care about CG there.
That reminds me, I follow Brad Jones on YouTube and his reviews, and one of his favorite movies of the year this far, Rise, Roar, Revolt, a 3-hour Bollywood action movie, is finally on Netflix. And the way he describes it is just so insanely, it sounds so insanely entertaining and like a perfect popcorn movie that I just gotta find time for it.
Fair enough. Then we have September 9th, Norman Partridge's The Dark Harvest. A legendary monster called October Boy terrorizes residents in a small Midwestern town that rises from the cornfields every Halloween. Casey Likes and Amira Crutchfield, directed by David Slade.
Really?
Yeah. The book cover is it. There's not much. David Slade directed Hard Candy and Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Yes, and he also tried to go for a vampire thing with 30 Days of Night, which is a hell of a concept. I don't know if it worked out as best as it could.
I haven't seen
I
it.
feel weird describing this as a summer movie, seeing as how this is September.
September is still the blockbuster season here. I'm just going to
All
quickly
right,
go
then.
through a lot of these generic films. The Woman King, a historical exit about a woman king. Alphas, another
Is that
shark
the Lena
movie.
Dunham one?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret, directing the old Judy Blume book into there. That's in post-production with Rachel McAdams and Benny Safdie and the cast. Then we have Don't Worry, Darling, about a 1950s housewife who's stuck in a weird experimental community.
That's Olivia Wilde's next movie.
And then we have Bros, a romantic comedy about two men in a relationship. And then we have Hocus Pocus 2 is the last movie of September. Yes, it's a thing. It's got Sarah Jessica Parker, Bette Midler, and the cast returning to make Hocus Pocus 2. And that's pretty much the summer movie season. Any thoughts on the last bottom of the barrel scrapings there?
Okay, are you there, guys? Me, Margaret. I forgot that was even coming out, but I'll look forward to that just because it comes to us from Kelly Freeman Craig, who gave us Edge of 17. So it's nice to see her back in the director's chair. She tried writing the first draft of the Scoob script, but you've seen it. You know for a fact that it's been heavily rewritten.
The first 10 minutes of Scoob is the most adorable thing on the planet, and the rest is just Scooby-Doo meets the Blue Falcon, and I've seen that.
You could have stretched out the first 10 minutes to 90 minutes, and it could have made its own movie.
I mean, the adorable relationship between Scoob and Shag about both two losers finding a friend and doing things together. I like that. The rest, I don't care about.
Yeah, and for Hocus Pocus 2, there's just one question that I have.
What's
Is that kid still a virgin?
That's a good question.
I'm just curious because it seemed like everybody in that movie wanted to know that for some reason.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's fans of Hocus Pocus who are going to go see this. This could be a hit. I don't know.
I still don't get why this is even a cult movie. It just seems so trashy.
Well, it's probably better than The Witches then, you know, with I guess they offended someone with something. I don't know. Whatever.
That was beyond pathetic. Oh my God, they only had 3 fingers and they were real life people with 3 fingers. They're attacking them. No, they're not. It was written in the fucking book.
I don't know. It's a movie, but that's the summer movie season. So I am looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder and the Sylvester Stallone One Samaritan. Those are my movies. I'm in. I can't wait, you know.
Yeah, that is totally valid. I'm still looking forward to Lightyear despite my concerns over what might go about it. Bullet Train looks exciting as all hell. Let's see. Obviously I'm looking forward to Maverick, seeing as how I'm going to be seeing that just a few hours after recording this, so that part will definitely be fantastic. And it's really hard to describe. It's really hard to say what else there is that I'm like super excited to see. Like there's always something later on in the year, but it always has to be like a couple weeks before it comes out that I just go, oh my God, I want to go see it, and then I grab my tickets for it.
Well, see, what do you think will be the surprise hit of the summer that makes the most money? I think the Super Pets movie is going to make a ton of money. I think that would be the surprise hit that everyone's
probably
like,
well,
yeah,
mostly because of stuff like The Bad Guys making a decent amount of money while being in theaters and on streaming. It got a lot of families back into the seats. Sonic 2 got a lot of families back into the theaters.
I hear Sonic 2 is a lot of fun. I just haven't seen it.
I've seen bits of it, and it's about up to par with the original.
That was a fun movie. Nothing wrong with it.
So that'll
Great for
probably
kids.
be so you'll probably end up thinking the same thing there.
And the bomb of the summer, what do you think a movie will bomb the hardest? I hope that Minions takes a nosedive and kills the franchise.
I highly doubt that it will. Like it'll make money, but best case scenario, it'll make less than the others, and it will hopefully encourage Illumination to kind of take a step back a bit.
What else has Illumination done besides Minions?
Outside of Secret Life of Pets and Sing, I have absolutely no clue.
Sing 2 is a moneymaker. Oh my goodness, that's still the top rental movie. 8 months after it's come out. The movie is making bank. There will be a
It was
Sing
in
3
theater.
for sure.
It was still in theaters like a couple months ago.
Yup.
It was weird. It was just
Oh,
so
but man,
fucking weird.
I mean, I always say this every year. I don't think there's as many summer movies I'm looking forward to, but then there's ones I'm looking forward to. I think it'll be
Yeah.
all right. I don't know. Just like the summer movie season for me, like it's always been more exciting like the previous years and such, but it's probably just a COVID thing. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, like you can't be surprised that this year has had a lesser quality because last year they were still trying to figure out how. Well, okay, they knew how. They just had to like have less people and less space and stuff like that. And it can be
Mhm.
really strenuous. And the fact that we've had such great movies like Doctor Strange, Batman, The Northman,
The North.
even Jackass, seeing as how you saw them working around the restrictions and the
Yeah.
requirements as it was being made. Like you could tell that there was still the importance of quality and entertainment towards it. And
Mhm.
as long as there's that, it's going to be okay.
Well, I think it'll be an interesting summer movie season. We're just gonna go into it and see a bunch of movies, and I'm glad Stallone's got a movie. I know he's getting up there, but I love that man's work. I like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I'm that guy.
I got nothing to
So,
say to you.
Tyler, what you got coming up? What's going on the Tyler
Well, I
channel?
got reviews up for The Northman and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This upcoming weekend, you can catch my review of Top Gun Maverick. I'm extremely looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm doing the show when I have time. Time is of the essence. So, check out
Yeah.
Tyler Wolf with 2 F's for fucking fantastic right over there. Link will be in the description as always. I did my background up a little differently today because you always have a background, and now I have a background. What do you think of my cool fuzzy duck vinyl?
I love that you finally managed to put it into one of our videos.
I finally just got it last week thanks to the Orange Monkey. It's hard to get. It's hard
Really?
to get. That's a reprint. The original's like 15 grand. They only like 200 or 300 copies. So, represent that fuzzy duck, Captain Fuzzy Duck for life.
That does seem kind of weird.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out this one here, SRC, great prog, just jamming blues. So there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Tyler, you know how it goes. And I'm not going to forget it this time because I did forget last time. Say something awesome.